Orhun was the founder of the strongest S-rank party, but his friends kicked him out because his support magic is not good enough compared to others. However, Orhun was never a mage to begin with, and he decides to return to his true skill and passion for swordsmanship to become the greatest adventurer ever. Orhun aimlessly wanders through the dungeon all on his own, looking tired of his own existence when he comes across a demon rat. He takes his sword out, which he hasn't used for what seems like ages at this point. He turns his face towards the monster and slashes it down in one clean strike, realizing that he has gone a little rusty after not using the sword for so long. This catches the attention of some other rats in the dungeon, who immediately rush towards Orhun and try to attack him. These creatures are of no match against the creator of the hero's party, though as with a quick 1-2. He kills the remaining rats that came in his way. He looks at all the cores spread on the dungeon floor and thinks that he might not be as out of shape as he first thought, and maybe there is still some hope for him as a solo swordsman. Before he could turn around, though, he gets surrounded by a group of goblins who are substantially stronger than the demon rats, and Orhun knows that. He decides not to take any chances and uses his own support magic on himself, boosting his strength for a short duration, making him tankier and his sword more dangerous. With that, the goblins attack Orhun, but they were no match against the speed and skills he had after being in an S-ranked party. He slaughtered them all one after the other while thinking about how he never really tried his own support magic on himself, and realizes how overpowered it makes him feel. He was about to let his guard down after killing the entire first wave, but before he could take a breather, a second wave of goblins attacked him head-on. Knowing that his support enchantment would wear off soon, he jumps headfirst and slashes through all the goblins that came in his way, even chasing one down at the end to send him down to hell. With that, his defensive enchantment wears off, and he realizes that his spell only works for 3 minutes of combat, which means that he needs to be careful about when and how he uses it. Just then, the third wave of these never-ending goblins enter the dungeon and rush towards Orhun at full speed, aiming for the kill, but Orhun manages to overpower them once again and starts killing them one by one. He soon realizes that his enchantment is about to end, so he uses the spell once again near the very end to continue his onslaught as he deals with the last few goblins of the horde. As he sees the life go out of the eyes of the last goblin, the memory of the evening still haunts him. He remembers again how Oliver entered his study alongside Anne and Derek and told him outright that they are going to kick him out of the hero's party. Orhun was left shocked as he tried to make sense of what was happening. He turned towards Oliver, asking what the hell is he talking about. They are supposed to be best friends, but Oliver stayed cold and calculated, telling him that just because he is a friend from the same village doesn't hide the fact that he is the most useless member of the team. Anne and Derek both chime in, claiming that all he is doing is slowing them down and holding them back from achieving greatness. Orhun's life flashes in front of him as he tries to make sense of the surreal situation. How can his best friend decide to kick him out of the party that he himself created? A party that became known as the Hero's Party because of how quickly they climbed through the dungeons and soon became one of the best parties in the entire country. Oliver reasons that during the last collaborative dungeon clearing mission, he observed other parties and how the enchanter of their group was so strong and capable of helping the other members, and compared to that, Orhun is utterly useless. Orhun couldn't believe his own ears as he snaps back, claiming that he is not an enchanter to begin with, and the only reason he took on the role was because no one in the party had any aptitude for magic. So he sacrificed his own position as a swordsman and started training as an enchanter, and even created his own style of magic to make up for the talent that he lacked as a support mage. Anne laughs in his face though, calling him a pathetic loser who is making excuses since Oliver was a much better swordsman than him to begin with. With that, Orhun turns towards Oliver as he was his last hope, but Oliver coldly tells him that they have even found a replacement enchanter as well, who will help them climb through the ranks and achieve greatness. Orhun finally accepts the new reality, and the fact that there is no place for him in this party anymore. With one final goodbye, he turns to leave when Anne laughs, claiming that he was never supposed to be in an S-ranked party anyways, since his swordsmanship and magic are both at an A rank, which means he is a pathetic jack of all trades, but master of nothing. Finally, he snaps back to reality as he walks ahead, thinking about the new style of fighting he has developed, which merges the traditional roles of a swordsman and a mage. He decides that he will continue being a jack of all trades, but at the same time he will master them all and show them what a giant mistake Oliver and the others made. Just as he was about to leave, a group of 4 adventurers rush into the teleportation room all out of breath. Their leader asks whether they were alright since they were not expecting so many orcs all at once. One of the members speaks up, claiming that they have left the girl behind though. The leader claims that he made the right call, as if they tried to help the girl they would have all died. And anyways, the girl just joined their party today, so he obviously prioritized his older friend. The wound of his own party abandoning him was too fresh in his mind, so Orhun turns towards the men and tells them that he hates people like them. One of the guys claims that they could have done nothing to help her, and one of them tries to attack Orhun, but he gets manhandled and swiped to the floor, as Orhun tells them to shut their ugly mugs and run away. With that, he turns towards the leader and angrily asks him where the hell did he leave the girl to die and rushes off in that direction to save her. He finds her at the end of a cave where she was completely cornered against what seemed like an army of orcs. She kept backing against the wall with tears in her eye and used her defensive shield as the orcs advanced. Her shield wasn't able to stay up for long, though as soon the orc managed to break through the shield and were about to end her life, when Orhun jumps in and used his wind magic to push them back. The girl was shocked and dazed, but Orhun didn't waste a single moment as he took out his sword and ran at the orcs. The first orc tired, pummeling him to the ground, but Orhun managed to block the attack easily, and with his own support magic as reinforcement, he slashed through the orcs as if they were made out of butter. The girl stood there confused, wondering whether Orhun is a swordsman or a mage, as he used his reinforcement magic to enhance the sharpness of his blade before rushing at the orcs, chopping through their weapons and their bodies alike. He realizes that the guys were right, as they could have never handled so many orcs at once, but he would have rather died than leave a party member behind. With that thought, he slashed through dozens of monsters all at once. While the girl watched in awe, wondering who this man is, Orhun continued his killing spree, and with the second burst of attacks, he managed to cut through every single orc in the cave, leaving only their corpses and shiny cores behind. With that, he turns towards the redhead at the end of the cave, but finds her lying on the floor as the adrenaline wears out. By the time the sun started setting, they came out of the dungeon, and the redhead introduced herself as Sophia before asking him out to dinner as a gesture of thanks for saving her life. Orhun ends up accepting and follows her down to a tavern owned by the Silver Rabbits Guild. He realizes that she is from the guild itself, as she also had a crest on her cape, and realizes that she reminded her of someone but couldn't put a finger on it. Soon that confusion disappeared when Sophia introduced him to her older sister Selma, who Orhun already knew, as she was also an S-ranked enchanter from a different party. Selma was the strongest enchanter in the country, and she was the one who came up with the system of dividing the roles into the swordsman, who attacks, the tank who absorbs damage, and the mage who provides support. Shay eyes Orhun with disgust and tells him that she is going to call the FBI since her sister is just 14. Orhun immediately tells her that his name is not on the Epstein files, so she can chill, while Sophia tells her sister that Orhun actually saved her life. Selma calms down a little after that and scolds her sister for going out on her own to a dungeon without telling her first. They soon start talking, and Orhun tells Selma that he was kicked out of the hero's party, so he is more or less a vagabond at this point. He immediately sees Selma's eyes twinkling, and he wonders whether she is thinking of recruiting him into her party. But before that could happen, he tells Selma that he has no plans of joining any party in the near future for now. Selma tells him not to flatter himself and asks whether he is up for a job. This was surprising for Orhun, and he gets curious and asks about the job. Selma claims that a huge party from her guild is going down to the dungeons tomorrow. The party will contain loads of new adventurers, and the rank members are supposed to guard them and see that the floor bosses that appear every 10 levels are defeated and there aren't any casualties. She claims that the expedition is greenlit by a sponsor, and she would love it if Orhun agrees to accompany them as an extra adventurer. She also tells Orhun that she really respects his skills and strength, otherwise she wouldn't have asked this of him. This cuts deep within him, as the reason why he was kicked from his party in the first place was because his party members were impressed by Selma herself when she was showcasing her magic, and that's why they decided that they needed a better mage for their party as well. Orhun decides to agree, but on the condition that he will only go down to the dungeon as a swordsman, as he is no longer a mage. Selma is a little worried about that, but decides that recruiting him is more important, as most probably he will go back to his main role as a mage when things go south. After dinner, Orhun decides to visit one of the shops to get some gear, and the old man immediately greets him like an old friend. The old man had been Orhun's armor and weapon guy since the very beginning, when Orhun was no one, and with a heavy heart Orhun reveals that he won't be able to do any more advertisement for him, as he is no longer in the hero's party. He claims that now no one would give about what weapons he uses or where he goes to get his armor, and apologizes to the old man for letting him down. The old man simply smiles and thanks him for everything that he has done till date, claiming that people will still listen to him as he is a genuinely nice person who is strong and will find a way back to the top once again. This surprisingly brings a tear to his eye as he realizes that someone is still counting on him, and he decides to give his all and rebuild himself from the ground up. The next morning, Orhun goes alongside Sophia to meet with the head of the Silver Rabbit clan, known as Vince. He welcomes Orhun to their clan building and introduces himself. Orhun replies that it is an honor for him to meet with the leader of such a powerful clan as the Silver Rabbits. Vince smiles at that, claiming that he doesn't need to be so on edge, as they are both equals. Vince claims that he is well aware of Orhun's achievements and knows that he was one of the key reasons why the heroes' party was so successful. He reasons that they should keep the pleasantries aside and instead trying to figure out what the other person is actually thinking. They should focus their minds on the task at hand, which is this teaching expedition. Vince turns towards Selma for the explanation, and she starts by mentioning that they will be going from the first floor of the dungeon all the way down to the 51st floor in the matter of 3 measly days. She claims that they will stop their journey at the level 21 at day 1 and continue onwards on the second day till floor 36, and finally on the third day they aim to conquer the 51st floor. While explaining all this, she remembers the conversation she had yesterday with Vince when she first told him about the fact that Orhun has been kicked out of the heroes' party. Vince immediately claimed that the heroes' party made the biggest mistake of their lives, as without Orhun managing everything to perfection, they won't be nearly as strong as they were before. Selma agreed with the assessment, claiming that his support magic took them to a very high level, which would have been impossible for them without his help. She knows that at a raw scale, Orhun's support magic is not as strong as some of the S-ranked support mages, but he makes up for it with his casting speed, which is at least 4 times faster than even her own speed. She remembers the fight, claiming that he was using several of his own original spells as well, and more than that, his ability to understand the situation and react to it with crisp decisions is basically unmatched. With him out of the equation, the heroes' party won't be able to retain their top position, which means that the Silver Rabbits can swoop in and seize the advantage to become the strongest party in the country. This all confused Vince a little, as he couldn't understand why would an incredibly talented enchanter agree to a joint raid in a dungeons where he has little to gain. Selma replies that most of the times the support mages are not given the fame that they deserve, and yes, she is famous, but that's just because her moves were flashy enough to catch their eyes, while the truly strong mages are left in the darkness with no renown of their own. She snaps back to reality when Orhun speaks up and asks to confirm that there are going to be 10 parties of rookies heading into the dungeons and 5 escorts, including Selma and himself. The rookies will deal with all the monsters in rotation, but if something out of the ordinary happens, the escorts will jump in to make sure that the rookies remain unhurt. He does find one thing confusing though, and asks why are there only 5 escorts? If their idea is to make sure the rookies have a safe experience, why not hire multiple A-rank parties instead of 5 separate S-rankers? Selma replies that the only reason they are not doing that is so that the rookies also experience the stress of going through a dungeon and not overestimate their abilities. Orhun doesn't really believe her explanation at all, but knows that they won't reveal their true motives to an outsider who is not affiliated to any clans. Regardless of that, Orhun decides to accept the quest as he has nothing better to do anyways. Vince seems happy about it and claims that he will be paid 2 gold pieces in advance, and 10 more at the completion of the task. This surprises him a little as he asks whether it's not too much, as that's basically a year's worth of money, but Selma replies that they value him a lot, and that's why they want to make sure he is sufficiently compensated. Orhun thanks them and promises to meet them the next morning, and hoping for the best. The next morning arrives soon, and Orhun arrives at the entrance of the dungeons where he finds a bunch of new adventurers waiting for their journey. He soon finds Sophia and Selma ready for the adventure and compliments Selma on her outfit, which annoys Sophia, and she again reminds him that she is a minor. Orhun tells her to chill out a little, as he is not a fan of Michael Jackson either. Sophia asks where is he living right now, since earlier he used to live in the mansion owned by their party. Orhun replies that he is currently staying at the inn, but soon he will find a proper place to stay as well. With that, Orhun looks around and claims that everyone seems to have arrived and maybe they should start their expedition. Selma agrees with that and tells Sophia to join her party before leading Orhun towards the other 3 recruits in charge of making sure that the journey goes smoothly. Selma introduces Orhun to the others, claiming that he is incredibly strong and that she trusts him. The other 3 escorts immediately welcome him. While introducing themselves, the blue-haired guy named Ant claims that he is a tank, and the blondie named Burn follows suit, claiming that he is a tank as well. The final short-haired girl turns out to be a healer named Kathy. Orhun immediately realizes that he is a front-line attacker and Selma, the enchanter, which make this a very well-rounded party of escorts. But he wonders what was their plan if he refused their offer to join. He thinks that there is definitely something fishy going on, but decides to push on for now and see how the things unfold. Soon Selma collects all the Rockies in one place and introduces them to Orhun, claiming that they have gotten an incredibly strong helper for this journey, so they don't need to be scared about anything. She claims that Orhun has been to the 94th floor, which even she has yet to do, and he used to be the part of the heroes party itself, which makes him one of the strongest people in the country. This really hypes up the newbies, who immediately feel much more confident about this journey. But so much pressure starts making Orhun feel a little intimidated, since he now knows so many people are basically counting on him. With that out of the way, she tells the remaining escorts to take control of their parties, while she tells Orhun that he is going to lead the 10th party, which is the most promising one amongst them all. And she believes that with the right guidance, they can easily deal with even the middle-level dungeons. This again is a little confusing for Orhun, as he wonders why would she give the star party of the bunch to him, who is supposed to be an outsider. Regardless, he moves towards the 10th group and realizes that Sophia is in the same group. He asks whether anyone in their party is late, since he can only see 3 individuals, but a blonde boy named Logan claims that only the 3 of them belong to this party. This is a little out of the ordinary, since 3-man party is pretty rare, but the blondie replies that there are only 3 in the party since no one can keep up with them anyways. He claims to be the leader of the party, claiming that he is an enchanter who is going to become even better than Selma herself. Orhun immediately realizes that this boy has an attitude problem and wonders whether it will come to bite him in the end, but he moves ahead to the second girl for now. The girl introduces himself as Carol, who is a tank, but Orhun notices that she doesn't seem to have any armor on. He asks whether she will put it on once inside the dungeon, but she replies that she doesn't use any shields or armors. Orhun asks whether that means that she focuses on dodging more than blocking, and Carol replies that he is correct, as she doesn't want any monsters to touch him. Dodge-type tanks are pretty rare, as they usually use their incredible speed and skills to dodge and counter-attack the monsters up close, but that requires actual combat experience that this girl definitely doesn't have. He asks whether the clan didn't warn her of that before, but the blondie replies that the clan told Carol multiple times to act like a normal tank till she gets experience, but she simply ignored them. Orhun soon realized that this might be the star party, but at the same time, this also seems to be the problem party, which the escorts didn't want to deal with. Soon after that, the expedition finally starts, and they all enter the dungeons. Carol doesn't stop talking for even a moment and continues hounding Orhun about why he left the party, and he doesn't know how to shut her up. Their journey continues smoothly for now, thanks to Orhun setting up magical traps behind them that automatically deal with the lesser monsters, as he doesn't want to spend time on useless battles. Finally, they arrive at the 20th floor, and Orhun now has a better idea about his party. He realizes that the blondie is not all talk, and he actually has a substantial amount of skills as an enchanter, and can easily operate at the level of an A-rank party if he continues like this. But he is bad at giving directions, which is very important for an enchanter. Carol is incredibly fast, which she would need as a dodge-type defender. But there are 2 problems with her. She rushes directly at the monsters without a second thought, when her primary role should be making sure their party is defended. And the second problem is that she uses 2 tiny daggers as her main weapon, which do fit her style, but might now have enough destructive powers when it really matters. Sophia is the weakest amongst them all in terms of raw talent, but she is still above the skill level of a total rookie and doesn't have any major flaws, which makes her the most rounded person in the group. At the end of the cave, the escorts manage to defeat the level 20 floor boss, which means that they can move ahead to the 21st floor, which was their goal for the first day. After registering their ID cards as a proof for completion, they head out for the night to get some rest and continue onwards the next morning. When Orhun wakes up the next day though, he is devastated to find a newspaper, and on its front page his picture is posted for everyone to see, as the heroes party officially declare that they have kicked Orhun and have hired a new enchanter in his place. This hits him harder than he thought it would, but there is nothing he could do about it. So he moves outside to meet everyone else at the dungeon, wondering whether the rookies would behave differently after reading today's headline. On the way, however, he is stopped by a blue-haired girl who turns out to be Luna, the healer of the heroes party. He remembers how even during his last days, when everyone else was behaving coldly towards him, Luna was always smiling at him and ready to help. The day when he was kicked out, she was out on an errand, Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so easy for the others to push him out of the party. Luna immediately grabs Orhun's hands and begs him to come back, claiming that she will find a way to make the party understand how much they need him. She brings up their promise of clearing the Great Dungeon together. But that only pisses him off, as he declares that the promise was made by the three of them, together, including Oliver, and he is the one who kicked him out of the party. With a wounded heart, he turns around and tells Luna that he is never going to come back to that party ever again, and moves ahead towards the dungeon entrance. On the way, Orhun thinks about how he was banished from the heroes' party. And that's what the newspaper clearly mentioned today, which means that all the new recruits probably are confused about what to think of him anymore. Especially considering that Selma hyped him so much for being from the heroes' party, but now the truth came crashing down. He soon arrives at the dungeon entrance, where he finds all the rookies waiting to go in. But the entire energy has completely changed, clearly meaning that every single person here has already seen today's newspaper. The newbies talk amongst themselves about the fact that Orhun isn't in the heroes' party anymore, while Logan thinks about how it would have been a different thing if Orhun left the party out of his own volition, but the fact that the paper clearly stated that Orhun was kicked out of the heroes' party for being too weak completely changes everything. Orhun tries to greet the rookies, but he gets a mixed bag of a response from them, realizing that he is not as welcome here as he was just yesterday, all because of some stupid newspaper headlines. Just then, Selma arrives alongside Ant, Byrne, and Kathy, and immediately apologizes to Orhun for causing a misunderstanding, since she was the one who kind of pushed the fact that he used to be in the heroes' party to put the rookies at ease. Orhun immediately tells her that this is no fault of hers, and she should hold her head up as high as ever, and lead the party into the dungeons while he provides support. Ant, Byrne, and Kathy chime in, claiming that it doesn't matter what the issue is between Orhun and the heroes' party. The fact remains that Orhun is one of the very few people alive in this world who have gone to the 94th floor and lived to tell the tale. This gives Orhun some relief from the constant scrutiny, and he heads towards his party, where Sophia and Carol bid him good morning with all their heart, but Logan seems to be a little hesitant and doesn't know how exactly should he treat Orhun. Orhun decides to break the ice himself and asks his party whether they saw the newspaper today, and both Sophia and Carol replied that they did see the newspaper, but it's not worth reading since it's full of lies. Logan, however, doesn't subscribe to Fox News, so he is used to hearing the truth and asks Orhun whether the newspaper told the truth. Orhun replies that technically the newspaper is the truth, since he did get banished from the party on the account of him being too weak according to the other members of the party. He apologizes to them for not telling them about it from the get-go, claiming that he is not really the hero that everyone expects him to be. Sophia can't handle it anymore and replies that he is not telling the truth, claiming that he is super strong, as she saw him take on a huge horde of orcs all alone and defeating them without breaking a single sweat. Orhun thanks her for believing in him and tells the rest of their party that even though he is not a party of the heroes' party anymore, he is still capable enough to easily help them reach the 51st floor, and asks them to believe in him. The girls seem to be content with that, but Logan seems disappointed, as he feels like he was betrayed. They soon enter the dungeons, and this day, the recruits are supposed to go from the 21st floor till the 35th floor. But even now, he is not supposed to give them any orders or guidance and just stay back and observe, only jumping in if things start getting too out of hand. Their journey continues smoothly as Carol deals with all the monsters on the 24th floor with the help of her twin daggers and her up-close and personal fighting style, while Sophia manages to deal with the bigger monsters on level 30, surprising even Orhun, who wonders whether he underestimated Sophia a little. Soon they move on to the 31st floor, which are the middle floors, and that means that now the rookies are in unknown territory and need the advice and help of their guides who are with them. This time, Orhun takes the lead and walks ahead of his party, making sure that nothing out of the ordinary is hiding on this floor, when he suddenly feels the presence of a bunch of goblins ahead and tells his party to get ready to fight. He also realizes that a stray orc has also seemingly wandered in the same area, which might make the fight a little tricky, but since his batch of rookies are pretty good at fighting, he has no worries about losing this battle. He immediately tells Carol to attack the goblins, while he tells Sophia to deal with the orc with the help of her long-range magical spells. They both follow his instructions, as Sophia immediately jumps into attack mode and starts clashing against the goblins while Sophia gets ready to take on a goblin. Orhun then turns towards Logan, telling him to use his support magic, But before he could even control his sentence, Logan already creates a bunch of magical circles and starts casting agility spells at Carol to help her get an advantage against the goblins. Logan still isn't fully convinced that a person like Orhun should be guiding him in anything, especially since he thinks Orhun's advice is so simple that anyone in his position would do the same. Suddenly things get a little more tricky, though, as the orc triggers Sophia's PTSD and she starts panicking against it, not readying herself for an attack. This could spell disaster for them all, since even Logan is busy with his magic spells focusing on Carol. He helplessly looks at Orhun, wondering what kind of a guide is he, and why isn't he helping Sophia when he suddenly spots Orhun creating a magical sign, which decreases the speed of the orc by a lot. He then moves towards Sophia and tells her to take her time and aim true, as she is much stronger than an orc and shouldn't be afraid of it. Sophia takes a deep breath and then produces a huge fireball which completely destroys the orc into smithereens, surprising everyone in her party including Orhun, who had absolutely no idea that Sophia can use advanced level magic spells. Carol immediately runs back to Sophia and hugs her, while Orhun praises her for an excellent shot. Soon they reach the 35th floor as well, where they end up running into a death tarantula. Logan immediately loses his cool, thinking that they are dead since there is no way they can deal with that thing. But both Sophia and Carol have complete trust in Orhun and stand by waiting for his orders. Orhun immediately tells Logan to use agility up and strength up for Carol while using magic up on Sophia. Logan wonders whether this guy has gone insane, as he is using the same strategy as before with no change, but he decides to follow the orders and uses the spells accordingly. Orhun then tells Carol to engage the monster in close quarters combat and make sure to keep its attention on herself. Carol nods in agreement and immediately runs ahead at the tarantula. Logan tries to stop her, but Orhun stops him, claiming that if he goes up in front, they all will be at a huge disadvantage, so they should wait and watch. Orhun then tells Sophia to jump on the monster and slash its back to shred, and Sophia immediately understands the assignment, jumping on top of its head and running her blade on it from front to back. Orhun then tells her to keep its attention to her, but she has to be careful as the spider is venomous, so she must dodge all the attacks without fail. The spider starts trying to stab Carol with its pointy legs, but she keeps dodging the attacks one after the other and even deflecting some of the attacks back, surprising the monster. Orhun tells Logan that he needs to continue his spells on Carol, as her life is in his hands at this point. With that, he turns towards Sophia and asks her to pin the monster down. Sophia immediately understands the assignment and uses her arrow cutter ability to slash its legs down, forcing it to fall on the ground. Carol starts celebrating, but Orhun tells her to be careful as the battle is not over yet. The advice came out too late, though, as the spider monster wasn't dead yet and uses its webs to grab Carol and starts pulling her towards itself. Orhun immediately tells Logan to give Carol a strength up and speed up, which he does without further arguments, but Carol starts panicking and fails to free herself from the web, begging Orhun for help. Orhun tells Sophia to ready her rock arrow and uses a sharpness enhanced spell on her knives, which gives her the boost she needed to break free from the grasp of this monster. Sophia immediately follows it up by her rock arrow spell, which completely nukes the monster, killing it immediately. With that, their expedition for the day rolls down to an end, and Orhun praises Logan for his use of his support spells, as without those, his party wouldn't have been able to win today's battles. By the time they exit the caves, the sun starts setting and Selma congratulates all the rookies on their achievements till date, claiming that they have all done a terrific job till now and the last step of their journey will happen tomorrow, so they need to rest and eat properly. With that, they all depart their own ways when Orhun is stopped by Ant and Byrne, who call him out for a lunch, and after thinking for a while, Orhun accepts the offer, as it's not every day someone offers to treat him. On their way back to the city, Logan asks Sophia about the encounter she had where Orhun first saved her life and asks about the specifics, like what kind of spells was he using. Sophia tries to remember and replies that he used a wind blast first and then also used some magic to enhance his sword before slicing each and every orc into shreds. Logan realizes that something is very different about Orhun, since today he noticed that Orhun very casually used a spell to reduce the agility of the orc, which was moving towards Sophia. These kind of magic spells are known as debuffs, and are incredibly hard to do. Even the most incredibly talented mages like Selma herself can barely use a single debuff in a couple of days, that too with a bunch of prep. Moreover, Orhun acted like a perfect spellcaster, and knew when to use what aspect of a spell in a team fight. He knew when the exact timings of each enhancements would wear off, and even used preemptive spells to predict the movements of the enemy. This makes Logan realize that he got Orhun completely wrong, and he is not just a normal mage. but an actual genius. Back in the city, Orhun gets down at a tavern with Byrne and Ant, and they tell him to order anything he wants as it will be on them. They then start asking him about his actual role, as he used to be an enchanter in the hero's party, but now he claims to be swordsman. Orhun replies that he was always a swordsman, ever since he saw his grandfather slay a huge beast that once wandered into the village. He got it stuck in his mind that no matter what he will become a swordsman, and that wish came true for a while, as he was a swordsman in the hero's party. But then as they started moving to the lower levels, their pace started to slow down a little as the intensity and strength of the monsters they were encountering was increasing. At the same time, Selma popularized the team strategy where everyone depended on the enchanter for decisions, so they themselves decided to follow the same strategy. Unfortunately, since their entire party had no person with the affinity to become an enchanter, their best choice was Orhun, and for the sake of the party, he decided to let go his podium as a swordsman and became an enchanter. He starts thinking bitterly that how the hero's party has zero chances of clearing the next levels anymore, but decides that it's not worth it to think about all that anymore. He then tells the boys that he now wants to become the most well-rounded swordsman who can deal with even the lower level floors on his own without the need of any party, not knowing that the very next day, the hero's party was going to pay him a visit in the very dungeons he aimed to conquer. The next morning, Orhun goes on towards the cave, thinking about how this is going to be the last day of him leading the young party, and spots his Sophia and the others waiting for him not far off from the entrance. They all greet him warmly, and he can already feel that the party seems to have more confidence in him today than they had the last day. Even Logan seems to be much more receptive and trusting of him. Carol speaks up, claiming that since today is the last day, Sophia wanted to say something to him, and starts elbowing Sophia, pushing her to speak her mind. But Sophia seems intimidated and too shy to say her true feelings. It turns out that while taking a bath last night, Sophia ended up telling Carol that she wants Orhun to stay in the Night Rabbit clan and help them reach the top. Before she could bring herself to speak her heart to Orhun though, he ends up being called by Selma and tells Sophia that he will talk to her later before leaving. While walking towards the rest of the guides, he ends up overhearing a bunch of rookies that the hero's party is going to the dungeons today as well, and they are going to do a trial run with their new party to make sure that they are all working in sync. Orhun wonders which floor are they going to try, and he soon learns that they are not going to the deepest floor, which is the 94th floor. But instead, they are only going to start from the 92nd floor to make sure that their new party is working as it should. Orhun is shocked at hearing this, as he doesn't think that the hero's party should start at the 92nd floor, especially with a new candidate instead of him, and they should instead try to go through some of the lower floors first to get a sense of their teamwork. At the end, he decides that it's a complete waste of time for him to think about the hero's party, and instead he should focus on what he is here to achieve. Back on the 92nd floor, Oliver, the leader of the party, hypes his team up, claiming that they should have no issues clearing through these dungeons, but still they should be on their guard. He then turns towards the newest member of their party, Philly, who is a green-haired enchanted. The tank tells her to show her what she can do, while the idiot mage chimes in that Philly is not a jack-of-all-trades jackass like Orhun, so they shouldn't have any issues. Oliver then turns towards Luna, who hasn't said a word yet out of silent defiance, as she never wanted Orhun to leave. But Oliver believes that after this dungeon run, even Luna will have to agree that their decision was correct and Orhun was the problem. It turns out that Luna wasn't even a part of the plan that Oliver and the others hatched to kick Orhun out of the gang. She only got to know about it the evening when Oliver was congratulating Philly for making it into the party and threw a welcome party in her honor. Anne and Derek both made fun of Orhun, claiming that now that they have a real enchanter instead of a good-for-nothing jack-of-all, they should complete the dungeon and make it to the 100th floor in no time. Anne even told Philly that apparently they have a shit ton of money, but Orhun was so careful with the spending that he never really went all out on anything for their personal needs. Philly gets a little uncomfortable, asking whether the party funds are not for just the party and not for any personal use. But Anne waves her thoughts away by claiming that they had loads of money, and what good is money for if you don't even know how to spend it. Oliver speaks up in the middle though and tells them that they should be done with the Orhun talks by now and move on, as he is irrelevant for them at this point. Just as they raised their glasses in the honor of Philly joining their party, Luna walks in the room out of breath and tells Oliver that she needs to speak with him. Suddenly, she notices Philly, who she doesn't even know at this point, and asks Oliver whether they can speak in private. Oliver tells her that they can and should speak right here in front of everyone. So Luna has no choice and tells them that she just heard that Orhun is going to a raid with the Night Silver Rabbits and asks how can it even be possible. Derek and Anne both are confused as Anne asks how can he join the Night Silver Rabbits within 3 days, even though they told him how weak he was. Derek claims that he must still be waving around his S-rank badge, which he owes to this party, and that's how he got the job. Luna is confused and asks what the hell are they talking about, when Oliver tells her to calm down and listen. Before he could continue though, Anne budges in the conversation and tells Luna that the good-for-nothing jack of all Orhun left the party 3 days ago. The news of Orhun leaving the party stuns her, and she wonders out loud whether Orhun finally gave up on them. But Derek, the giant idiot, opens his big mouth and tells her that it's the other way. Orhun didn't leave the party. They are the ones who forcefully kicked him out of the party as he was a loser. Luna is shocked and turns towards Oliver asking whether this is the truth. Oliver calmly replies that they are telling the truth and tries to introduce her to Philly, the new member. Luna immediately cuts him off though, claiming that she made it clear that she will oppose anyone taking Orhun's place, which annoys the Zero-ick tank, who screams at her to shut up as the new member is trying to greet her. Oliver calms Derek down though and tries to reason with Luna, claiming that Orhun is not good enough for their party anymore and he would just be weighing them down at this point. Luna claims that she doesn't agree to any of this, as Orhun is the core of the party, and she is the main reason they ever even got this far in the first place, and tells Oliver that there is no way they could make it any further without him. And the ass chimes in that she is the only one who thinks that Orhun was anything special, and anyways nothing could be done now as the decision has already been made and Orhun has been kicked out. Oliver tells Luna that they need to talk about immediate plans right now and claims that since this is the first time they would all be working alongside Philly, they will start from the 92nd floor and then slowly make their way through to the 94th floor. Luna, however, outright rejects the plan, claiming that she doesn't have a death wish like the others seem to have. Derek laughs at that, claiming how the hell could they have a death wish if they are starting from the 92nd floor, when they have already managed to make their way till the 94th floor. Luna replies that even if Philly is a highly skilled enchanter, they should start working from the lower floors first, and then maybe make their way to the higher ones. Derek again claims with that thick skull of his that they have already cleared floor number 93, so why should they start from lower down? Luna claims that they must be insane to think that since the 92nd floor contains the Black Dragon, and they barely managed to make past it the last time they fought against it. Anne laughs and replies that it was during the time when they had a weak-ass enchanter in their team, and fighting the dragon this time should be a breeze. Oliver claims that they are just going to see how well they are working together, and nothing else, so they don't really have to fight against the Black Dragon. Luna tries to argue, claiming that even then they should start from much lower down, but Oliver cuts her off, claiming that the decision has already been made and it can't be changed now. Back in the reality, the heroes' party comes face to face against the mammoth of the 92nd floor, which was defeated pretty easily last time, but this time they seem to be having some troubles with it. Oliver runs at the mammoth and tries to strike it with his sword, but the mammoth manages to block the attack, pushing Oliver back to cover, while Derek gets ready for any counterattacks. Once behind the cover, Oliver's buff wears out, and he realizes that every single time the buffs wear out, his body feels like it's being weighed down by a lot of weight. He turns around and asks Philly why are their buffs wearing down so quickly. Philly replies that she hasn't yet figured out how all of they fight together, so it should get better. This surprises Oliver a little as he remembers how Orhun managed to figure everything out about them within the first few hours of their first day together in the dungeon. The mammoth suddenly uses an energy blast aimed at Derek, who tries to block, but ends up slipping, and the beam gets redirected at Anne, who screams at Derek for being an idiot. Even Derek wonders why his blocks aren't as effective, as this power blast should have been an easy thing for him to block. Anne decides to jump in the fray and shoots her fire blasts at the monster, but they barely tickle the mammoth, which confuses Oliver, and he shouts at Anne to take it seriously. But Anne replies that she is doing what she usually does, but for some reason her attacks seem to be weaker. Oliver tells Philly to boost Anne's magic damage once again, and she does as she was told. But even this time, when Anne uses her fire blast at the mammoth, it doesn't even leave a scratch. In retaliation, the mammoth uses his power blast once again, and almost hits Anne, who barely manages to hide behind a rock. Oliver is left stunned since Philly's magic is supposed to be much stronger than Orhun's, but still they are getting bashed against this monster who they didn't have any trouble dealing with the last time when they fought. Another power beam aimed at him snaps him back to reality as he barely dodges it, while the next beam is blocked by Derek. Oliver tells Anne to flank the monster, but Anne has no luck with that, as the monster manages to stop her and attacks, forcing her to run all the way back. Oliver immediately turns towards Philly and tells her to keep an eye out for the monster's attack and warn them. Philly replies that it's impossible for her to do that while doing all the other things, but Oliver tells her that it's the job of an enchanter to keep an eye on the flow of the battle. Anne chimes back at her, claiming that she is completely useless and they should have never taken her in the party. Oliver realizes that none of them seem to be as strong as they are used to be, and he isn't even able to draw the full power of his sword. In theory, Philly's magic should give them a massive power boost, so what exactly is going wrong? Before they could decide what to do next, the black dragon emerges from the depths of the dungeons and starts flying towards them. Luna starts sweating out of fear and screams that they need to leave this place as soon as possible. The dragon descends down to the ground, crushing the mammoth beneath him without any issue. Oliver is shocked, as he wonders why the hell is the black dragon coming out of his place, and this shouldn't happen. But he still refuses to leave, claiming that they have defeated him once, and they will do it all over again. Derek immediately gets in position to block its fireball attack, but to his surprise, he is nowhere near as strong and immediately gets blasted back. Anne tries to use her fireball, but even after hiding behind a rock, she gets blasted and is knocked out cold. Luna immediately tells Oliver that they need to escape, but Oliver simply tells Philly to buff her and then charges up his strongest attack against the dragon's fireball and attacks at the same time, barely managing to hold his own as he is swept back by the shockwave. He drops to a knee, confused and dazed, not knowing what to do. But Luna quickly gathers him and tells him that they must use an emergency teleport crystal or else they would die here. Philly claims that the emergency teleport, however, will send them to a lower ranked boss room directly, and they would have to fight it, but Luna claims that they have no other options. Oliver aggress and grabs the rest of his team and opens the portal to escape, but before they could step through it, the dragon dives in with an attack, pushing them back, and to their absolute horror, enters into the portal before disappearing. Derek at first thought that it was for the best, but Luna tells them that this is the worst thing that could have happened, and now some low-rank adventurer party will die at the hands of the dragon. She claims that they must return back to the guild and have them force teleport anyone in the dungeon. Oliver agrees and they start running outside. And that's when Luna tells them that the reason why they felt so weak was because Orhun developed some original spells which increased the strength of any of his magic attacks by 50 times. Philly is shocked as even Selma could only do a 10 times increase, but Luna tells them that it's the truth, and that's why they felt that they were too strong. In actuality, they are only strong if they are with Orhun. Otherwise, they are nothing but a mediocre group of adventurers. Oliver, however, refuses to believe that and vows to kill the dragon without Orhun as they all run towards the guild house, hoping the dragon didn't claim any lives yet. Back on the 50th floor, Orhun tells his party that once they reach the 51st floor, their goal will be completed and they will return back for the day with the help of the teleportation crystal. All his party members nod their heads in agreement, but Orhun gets a bad feeling in his stomach about it. He looks around himself but finds nothing amiss. He then looks up at the dark sky with clouds covering the sun completely, and wonders why is he getting this feeling. Everything seems to be going fine right now, and soon enough they will fight the floor boss, which wouldn't be any big deal for any of the guides, and then they can all call it a day and head back home with their mission, a complete success. So why is he getting this weird feeling warning him that something has gone terribly wrong and they all must leave right now? Carol's voice breaks through his thoughts as she asks Orhun, what kind of monsters can they all expect to fight against this time? Orhun notices the excitement in her eyes and tells her that she is supposed to be a tank whose main job is protecting their other teammates. She can't simply run at the enemies hoping to kill them all by herself. Carol doesn't seem to agree though, and replies that if she can deal with all the enemies on her own, then she is technically making the job of her teammates easier and they won't be in any sort of danger. Moreover, she believes that the job of a tank is to be at the front lines, and that's what she does every single time. time, and she immediately starts asking for even more advice on how she can fight even better. Orhun lets out a sigh of exhaustion and tells her that she should start learning how to work as a team, instead of trying to do everything on her own, as the sooner she starts learning all this, the better it would be for her in the future, when the only way to advance would be to rely on her teammates. Carol doesn't really like the sound of that, and thinks that it's boring, but Logan tells her to pay attention and be thankful for getting such amazing advice. He claims that even the great adventurer Albert said that teamwork is dreamwork. Orhun turns his attention towards the little blondie and asks whether he is talking about the Albert from the Night Rabbit clan. Logan gets excited to know that someone else also reads instead of acting like a barbarian in a dungeon all the time. Orhun claims that he thinks everyone probably knows about the great Albert, as he was the undisputed strongest member of the Night Sky Rabbits, and it is believed that he died fighting the Black Dragon on the 92nd floor last year. Logan claims that even in his death, Albert became a legend who will always be remembered forever. Carol, however, turns a little somber as she quietly claims that Albert died trying to protect one of his comrades, even though it was the job of the tank to do that. Her mood darkens as she continues to say that he knew that his death would mean Smiles disappearing from his family, but he didn't really care. That's why she thinks that the best way of being a defender is to keep the one you are protecting far away from you at all times. She concludes by saying that if she fights alone on the front line while her team stays behind, then they won't be in any danger and will be able to run away if things go south. Orhun notices the pain on Carol's face and decides that this is above his pay grade, and as an outsider, he probably shouldn't pry any further. He decides to lift the moods a little and tells Carol that he will be counting on her today to deal with the enemies. And immediately her face lights up like before as she tells him to leave it to her. Sophia, the attention hoe, immediately decides to turn back everyone's gaze on her, as she tries being a pick-me and asks Orhun what are the things that she lacks and how she can get better as a teammate and as a mage. Hearing this, Logan also chimes in, claiming that even he wants to know how he can better himself. Orhun tells them all to calm down and moves ahead into the 36th floor, where the newbies start warming up. Selma calls out to Orhun, claiming that today will be their last day, and the most challenging so far, so they need to make sure that nothing goes wrong and complete the expedition successfully. She then turns towards Orhun's party, and claims that the kids seem to have taken quite a liking towards him, and Orhun honestly reveals that after the newspaper article, he thought that he probably lost all the respect they might have had for him in an instant, but it turns out that he was wrong, and these kids are much smarter and independent than they look. Selma agrees, claiming that this group can be a handful at times, but they have got a bright future ahead of them. She then tells Orhun that the death of Albert was a huge blow for their clan, as he was the star of the clan, and their clan quickly started falling behind, and that was when Orhun's former clan, the Heroes Party, took a lead. Orhun claims that the Black Dragon was incredibly difficult for them as well, and they could have very easily lost someone during that fight, which would have crippled their party completely. Selma claims that the hole that Albert left behind is still left open, and they have never been able to patch it up till now, and finally straight up asks Orhun whether he would like to join their party. Orhun tells her that he is honored, but replies that a party doesn't have any need for two enchanters, especially if one of those enchanters is the best sorcerer of the continent. Selma blushes, but replies that she didn't mean as an enchanter, but as a swordsman. This catches him off guard, but Selma tells him that she will be observing him today and see what kind of skills he has as a swordsman. Soon enough, all of them split up into their own groups, and Orhun is left alone with the three newbies that he is supposed to monitor. Carol asks why are they splitting up so much, as she doesn't really like the idea of getting lost in the labyrinth of these caves. Orhun laughs, claiming that this is a good exercise for them, as a lot of times a party has to split up in order to check multiple passageways at the same time and find the one which leads to the boss room. That's why the clans with a lot of members like the Night Sky Rabbits are always at an advantage, as they can check the entire cave system very quickly. Logan claims that Orhun has gone to the deepest floor that anyone has ever seen, so they shouldn't face any problems here, while Selma and Carol surround her, asking what the dungeon looks like on the deeper levels and what kinds of monsters can be seen there. Orhun replies that the deep floors start at around level 72, and the ecosystem changes and becomes a rugged snowy mountain with frequent blizzard and snowstorms and ice lizards who lurk in the darkness waiting for you to fall asleep. With that, Orhun tells them to focus on the task at hand, as he doesn't want them to be freaked out at this point, and they move deeper into the dungeon. The entire cave seems to be empty, which makes it feel very eerie, and Logan claims that they haven't seen a single monster on this floor yet. He turns towards Orhun and asks whether the 40th floor is usually like this. Orhun shakes his head, while the knot inside his stomach tightens as he wonders whether his gut feeling was right, and there is indeed something very wrong with the dungeon today. Carol starts making a ruckus about how she wants to fight some monsters already, when from behind one of the rocks, a blue goblin emerges. Carol is overjoyed to finally see a monster and immediately rushes at it without a second thought. Orhun tries to stop Carol, but she was too far gone. So he quickly uses his agility down debuff to reduce the speed of the goblin, which helps Carol kill him in a single quick attack. She starts celebrating, but Orhun tells her not to rush at the enemies without thinking. He claims that the blue goblins are really fast and strong, and she could have been in danger, which would force both Logan and Sophia out of position and endanger them as well. Carol recognizes her mistakes, so to soften the blow, Orhun decides to teach her a style of active defense, and explains that she needs to focus on the enemy's movements and attack at the right moment, which would be just before they can launch their own attack. This will stop their attack from ever happening and give the rest of her party an incredible advantage. Carol hears it in awe, but soon Logan shoves her aside and asks for some guidance as well. He tells them to turn around as two wolf monsters run at them from behind. Before they could even come anywhere near, a magical trap activates and spikes them in the body. Orhun tells Logan that he should start with the trap spells, which would let his team focus on the enemy in front of him instead of being worried about what might attack them from behind. Logan hears every single thing enthusiastically as he thinks in his mind that he wants to become a mage just like Orhun in every single regard. Orhun then turns towards Sophia and tells her that she should start learning how to use 2 magic spells at once. She replies that it sounds complicated, but Orhun promises that it isn't as difficult as it sounds, and anyone can use 2 magical spells at once with a little bit of practice. He claims that the advanced lever casters can even use a dozen magic spells at once. Sophia is shocked to hear this, and asks why can't she simply learn how to use the stronger versions of the current magic that she uses. And Orhun explains that using stronger magic attacks requires time to process them and get them ready, which leads to a bunch of downtime during which they are completely vulnerable and can't really do anything about it. If she learns how to use multiple spells, she can ready a second spell preemptively while her first one is about to fire. This way her downtime would be damn near zero, and she wouldn't have to face any vulnerability during her fights. With that, they finally manage to reach the boss room where the guides come together and tell the newbies to stand behind and watch while they deal with the boss. Orhun enters the boss room with the others and tells them to focus on attacks as he will try to support them as much as he can. With that, the fight begins and Orhun immediately goes on the offensive as he seizes the perfect moment to attack and slashes at the monster's legs just as it was to attack, causing it to stumble back. Before the monster could back off and regain his balance though, Orhun had already placed a trap behind, which creates a wall behind the boss and stops him from dodging. Selma immediately uses multicast magic, creating 5 magic circles all at once and attacks, while the tank blocks the attack and the other swordsman finishes the fight with a single slash of his sword. The newbies watch in awe as the fight was over in an instant. Logan can't believe the precision with which these rankers fight, as there was never a wasted step, and everything was picture perfect. With that, the expedition moves forward, clearing one level after the other and finally reaching floor number 50's boss room. The boss turns out to be a giant crab with damn near indestructible shell. Selma tells Orhun that he is the strongest amongst them, and if he can slash through the giant claw of the crab, the rest of them can deal with it, and they can all return back home for a feast. Orhun smiles and takes out his sword, confidently moving towards the giant monster, while the tank tells him to be careful as the crab's shell is supposed to be incredibly hard and very difficult to break through. Orhun doesn't seem to care though, as he jumps in the air and smashes his sword against the crab's joint, effortlessly slashing through its giant claw, which removes the one threat that they had to be careful about. With that out of the way, Selma and the others easily deal with the monster, and everyone claps as the expedition finally comes to an end and they all get ready to head back. Their celebration is cut short though, when Orhun feels an immense sense of dread, and suddenly the reality itself breaks and the black dragon emerges from the rift, flying straight towards them. Orhun's blood dries up at the sight of the black dragon, and he screams at everyone to run, but it seems like he is the only one who is even able to think everything, because even the other rank guides are frozen in their place because of the immense pressure they feel. The rankers, unable to move, think, why the hell is this happening? Why is a literal monster attacking them at such low-level floors? Selma is the only one who could even think a little bit, but even she is unable to move. She realizes that she needs to take command right here and right now to make sure that the rookies escape this monstrosity. but the immense aura of the dragon seems to be making the air heavy, sucking the oxygen out of the atmosphere as Selma thinks about all the horror stories she has heard about the Black Dragon, the monster who preys upon the adventurers and completely slaughters them beyond recognition. Orhun immediately starts racking his brains with ideas to get out of this deadly situation when she suddenly realizes that they have already defeated the boss of this level, which means that if they can reach the crystal at the end of this cave, they can safely teleport back. That's the only way out of this mess, so he thinks about rallying the others behind his plans, but when he turns around to call the others, he realizes that they are all stuck in a trance, unable to take their eyes off the monster. This is beyond scary as monsters naturally get attracted by huge groups of people, so the dragon will do the same, and if they don't move away immediately, they are going to get immediately smoked. For a short moment, Orhun thinks that maybe he should simply try to make a run for it towards the crystal, as he can definitely survive this alone. But he immediately discards that thought, disgusted by himself, and realizes that he must fight with the dragon to give the others some time to escape safely. He decides that he is not going to betray them no matter what, and is going to defeat the dragon. With that, he grabs a hold of his sword and draws it with a fierce determination to safeguard the people he cares about. He screams at the other guides to get into position, which breaks them out of their trance, and Selma comes back to her senses as well. She orders the others to take a defensive posture to make sure that the rookies are kept out of danger. And immediately the A-rank adventurers get to work. The mage creates a magic barrier to soak the damage of the dragon's attack, but Selma realizes that her magic is not nearly strong enough to stop the blast. Orhun, on the other hand, fearlessly runs at the dragon, but immediately casts a protective spell of his own to reinforce the guides. Thankfully, this was enough to save them from certain death. But they are thoroughly shaken, knowing that without Orhun they would be a bunch of ashes right now. Orhun dodges the dragon's attack while tactically backing off, but doesn't give the dragon any open chances to charge his attack. He quickly draws out a small dagger and throws it at the monster's eye. The dragon immediately closes its own eye to prevent himself from going blind. But it was all a part of Orhun's plan, as he uses that split second to jump at the dragon, aiming to behead it with a single swing of his sword. The slash creates an immensely strong blast, spreading dust and smoke all over the cave, which makes the guides think that he might have defeated the beast. But Orhun knows better than that and keeps his guard up. As the dust clears up, the dragon rises up once again with a scream of anger, but completely unharmed. Orhun orders the guides to cover the rookies on all sides and make sure none of them get hurt at any cost, while he distracts the dragon. Selma looks unsure about the situation, but Orhun smiles and tells her not to worry as he has a plan to deal with this situation. He tells the rookies to hang in tight, and with that he launches himself towards the dragon, who immediately charges his fiery breath and attacks Orhun, who dodges the hits and starts running circles around the monster, trying to distract it to the best of his abilities. Selma and the others are astounded at Orhun's skills and his bravery, considering that he decided to deal with the dragon on his own. Selma questions herself, wondering whether it is the right decision to let Orhun deal with that deadly beast alone. The same beast who killed the mighty hero Albert. She realizes that she cares a lot about Orhun at this point, and it would destroy her if anything happened to him. Orhun is completely in the zone, though, as he dodges one attack after the other and even manages to reflect one of the dragon's attack right back at it, enraging the dark beast even more. Logan and Sophia are shocked to see the reflection magic, as they have never seen anything like that before. That is in fact the case, as even the best mages in the world can't pull that off, as magical reflection is one of Orhun's original spells in his arsenal, which reflects any magic attack at the attacker with double the force. To his annoyance though, the dragon's scales are so hard that even after eating such an incredibly strong fire blast, it still stands tall, completely unscathed. He realizes that he has no options left, and he will have to take some chances now. He quickly uses a multicast status boost, creating 6 magic circles all at once and boosting his potential. Selma is impressed to see this, as even the high-level mages have trouble using multicast for more than 3 magic circles, but Orhun used 6 without breaking a sweat. She wonders whether she should help though, as even after boosting his own stats, Orhun wouldn't be strong enough to deal with the monster. Before she could reach a decision, Orhun uses a second all-stat boost spell on himself, before using yet another boost. In total, he multiplies and doubles his own stats 6 different times, which leaves the guides speechless, as it is supposed to be completely impossible for anyone to be able to do that. Orhun starts glowing like a Super Saiyan, with lightning surrounding his body and everything. The dragon doesn't seem to know what happened to Frieza at the hands of the Saiyans though, so it continues to try and attack Orhun with a tail smack. But Orhun disappears and appears hanging on the ledge so quick that Selma felt like he teleported there. Selma is left trembling as she realizes the true potential of Orhun, who has gone beyond the level of any support mage in history, and is literally recreating the way anyone saw magic, using one original spell after another. Orhun drops down to the ground, but blood starts coming out of his nose. He knows that he has increased his stats beyond human potential, but his body is still that of a human, and it can't handle the amount of strain his stats are putting on his body. Moreover, his mana is being depleted very quickly since he is basically using 32 spells at once, whose burden is too great for any caster to sustain for a long time. He knows that the only chance he has at winning is by going all out and finishing this fight as quickly as possible, so he runs at the dragon, dodging its attacks and jumps up to attack from above. The dragon realizes that and immediately tries to smack him down with its tail, but Orhun is not a dumbass and manages to create a mana block which he is able to stand upon, causing the dragon to whiff his attack. Logan is shocked and wonders whether this is another one of his original spells. Orhun uses this special spell of his called Magic Convergence, which can sap the mana from the environment and focus it on a small area. Oliver has the same ability, but he uses it entirely offensively and leaves the defense to Orhun every single time. He rushes at the dragon once again and enhances the sharpness of his sword before slashing the dragon once again. This time he succeeds and manages to land a devastating blow at the dragon's neck, slicing through his thick armor and damaging the body beneath all the scales. The dragon falls over with a thud, while Logan and Sophia celebrate, thinking that the dark beast is defeated for good. Selma knows better than to think that and realizes that the dragon is probably just hurt a little, but Orhun seems to be at his limits as he stumbles on the ground, trying to regain his balance and push on his attack to not give the dragon any chance to recover. She wants to join in and help Orhun, but she knows that the strongest members of their clan together weren't able to land a single hit on the dragon, so what the hell will she be able to do? The dragon sits back up once again and uses his fiery breath to create some distance between him and Orhun before it channels a bunch of dark magic around it, and shoots a barrage of magical spears at Orhun, who tries to use his speed to avoid most of them. Orhun thinks about the days when everything was colorful and happy, when he used to play in the streets with Oliver without a care in the world. But one day all that changed, when some bandits attacked their village and destroyed everything and everyone they held dear to them. They were left helpless and could do nothing but cry at their situation while the world around them burnt. The next morning they buried every single person they could find, and both of them vowed to get stronger every single day and reach a point where they could protect the people and the things they held dear, so nothing and no one could steal from them ever again. Orhun uses his memories to fuel him as he walks out of the dust straight towards the dragon, refusing to yield in the face of certain death. The dragon starts charging its strongest attack, which has killed so many adventurers till now that it's considered as death itself in person. Orhun gets ready, and as the dragon shoots the magical spears at him, he bobs and weaves in between them as the spear misses them by mere inches, but he continues rushing and shoots a fireball magic as a distraction before trying to slash the dragon's head off. To his horror, the sword strike fails as the dragon's scales harden like an indestructible shield. He quickly backs off and dodges most of the magic spears before creating a wall in front of him to protect himself. The dragon changes its pattern and curves one of the spears to attack from behind, and it would have probably killed anyone else, but Orhun uses his godlike reflexes to reflect the spear away from himself, saving his life. He pushes on the attack, dodging and attacking the dragon, making sure not to give the dragon any space to attack the rookies. He thinks about how he earlier had a team to fight with him, and all of them had separate roles, but now he is the only one here. He pushes the thoughts away as he remembers that he vowed to defeat the dragon all on his own and become an adventurer who doesn't need any party to survive in any dungeon. With that, he sets up a trap card which continues to bombard the dragon with unyielding precision, giving him the time to charge his magical convergence attack into his sword just like Oliver's ultimate attack, with the difference that his blade is all black. But as we all know, once you go black you don't go back. He charges the attack and aims it at the dragon with all his strength, slashing through the dragon's attack and hitting it squarely in the chest. Before they can celebrate, though, the dragon rises again and goes on the offensive, forcing Orhun to run away and dodge attacks one after the other. His buffs start wearing off, so he uses whatever mana he had left to boost his stats once again and attacks the dragon with a mighty strike which knocks it out of the sky. But still the dragon survives and gets up once again. Orhun breathes hard as he realizes both the dragon and himself are on their last legs. Even his sword shatters into little pieces. He then decides that he is either going to end it with an all-out attack or die trying. He summons a dark hole in front of him and converges all the energy around them to create a highly focused energy sword, which he grabs with both hands and gets ready to fight. The dragon immediately shoots the magic spears at Orhun, but Orhun uses the last remaining strength he had to dodge through all the attacks, while using blocking and reflecting magic to confuse the dragon. Finally, he pushes himself off one of the reflection magic and blasts himself towards the dragon, using his most powerful attack to strike the dragon's head, creating a huge explosion, covering everything in dust. Once the dust settles, Selma finds Orhun still alive, breathing hard as he leans against the sword, not realizing that he just made history by being the first person ever to defeat the Black Dragon, that too on his own. Outside the dungeon cave, a huge crowd has gathered at the news of the Black Dragon. But somehow Luna and her shitty party members reach the dungeon entrance hoping that they make it in time and somehow manage to save as many people as possible. Luna tells the onlookers to stand back as the Black Dragon is on the loose. But by the time she pushes through them, she stops in her tracks at the sight of the Black Dragon, face to face with her. Oliver follows her and gets scared to the point where he draws out a sword ready for a fight. But Luna tells him to calm down and back off. She realizes that something is wrong with the monster, and by the time the others arrive, it is clear that the Black Dragon is already dead. The hero's party is shocked at this, as they can't even start to think about which party can be strong enough to defeat this beast. But they don't really have to think for long though, as Luna notices Orhun, barely managing to stay upright, putting all his load on his sword, and looking completely beat up. She wonders whether Orhun alongside the other adventurers stuck inside managed to defeat the beast. She immediately tells him that he needs healing, but Orhun tells her to back off and simply deal with the cleanup. Luna is left speechless as she doesn't know what she can say to the person that they kicked out of the party which would make it better. Her attention then goes towards the adventurers with whom Orhun entered the cave, and she notices that none of them even have a scratch on their body after fighting such an insane monster. But that's when it clicks to her. Orhun defeated the Black Dragon all on his own. She can't believe her thoughts, but there is no other explanation. While walking past his former teammates, the idiot tank asks Orhun what the hell happened to the dragon. But Orhun ignores him just like your crush ignores you and continues walking. The imbecile tank screams at Orhun to answer the question, but Luna tells him to shut his dumb ass up, as it is clear that Orhun is the one who defeated the dragon. The tank gets mad at her, and like an average incel Tate fan he runs at her. But she simply uses her magic to freeze him on the spot, and would have whooped his ass if not for Oliver who told them to break off their fight, while he angrily looked at Orhun, mad that he got outshone by him. That night, Sophia remembered everything that happened during their 3-day expedition for a report, but all she could write about was Orhun and how cool he was. She remembered how he not only taught her the basics of magic, how to be a better team player, but also saved her life by dealing with the legendary Black Dragon, that too on his own. Before she could finish her report though, Selma enters the room looking haggard from the exhaustion of dealing with everything since the morning. She straight up goes and slams on the bed, ready to sleep. But Sophia manages to take her to the bathhouse for a refreshing session where Selma asks Sophia what she thought about Orhun's fighting style because she can't understand it. To her, Orhun is inconceivably strong with bottomless pits of strength that she can never even compare to. But Sophia's viewpoint was different in this regard. She explains that to her, it felt like Orhun simply has such a strong grasp on the basics that he is able to do legendary things just by utilizing his body and skills in the most efficient manner. She explains how Orhun taught their group how to best fight as their role, and she noticed the exact same things being implemented in his own fighting style as well, with the difference that Orhun was literally acting like the mage, the healer, the tank, and the swordsman all on his own. This gives Selma some much needed insight, and she thanks Sophia for the help. The next morning, Orhun wakes up in pain as his entire body is aching like crazy. He uses his pain relief spell on himself to be able to walk at least and starts dressing up when he notices Selma coming to see him. He goes down to meet her in the diner where they sit and talk over some black coffee. She asks Orhun about how he is feeling now, and he replies that he is doing well, not mentioning the fact that he is taking a shit ton of painkillers to even do the most basic of things. Suddenly Selma gets up and bows down deep, thanking Orhun for saving her life and the lives of all the rookies, making sure that the expedition was successful. and that there was no casualties. Orhun tells her not to worry about it as it was a team effort. Selma then asks him whether he can accompany her to the guild house, as the leader of their guild wanted to have a conversation with him. Orhun agrees since he doesn't have anything better to do anyways. They both go to the guild house where they find the nerdy leader seated comfortably on the sofa. He cuts straight to the chase and asks Orhun whether he would want to join the Night Sky Silver Rabbits as the first line attacker in their most powerful party. Moreover, he also offers to make him a lieutenant of the clan so he can better guide and handle day-to-day operations as well. Orhun is shocked as being a lieutenant means a lot and is usually reserved for the oldest, and usually the founding members of a clan. Anyone would have jumped at this opportunity, but Orhun is not everyone. So he asks the nerd for some time to mull over the decision, which the nerd happily grants him. While walking back, Orhun revisits the entire conversation, as he still can't believe that one of the best clans in the world want them to lead their best party, and also be one of the leaders of the clan. He decides to have a chat with the old guy who makes his armor and asks him for his input. Orhun is still scared that he will be used and discarded just like his old teammates did. But the old man simply laughs and tells him not to be so emo all the time. They talk some more, but then Orhun gets a call for a meeting from the Adventurers Guild, so he heads over and finds the guild members already seated for an inquiry committee. He takes his seat when the guildmaster asks Orhun whether it's true that the black dragon appeared on the 50th floor where he was forced to fight with it alone. Orhun nods in agreement, but Derek opens his giant hole and claims that they already weakened it, causing the dragon to run, and Orhun merely managed to land the killing blow and claimed the kill. Anne also speaks in between, claiming that he should be thankful that they saved his life and made him famous overnight. Orhun simply looks at them and tells them to shut their idiotic mouths, which causes Derek to stand up angrily. But that's all he can do as Luna tells him to sit his ass down immediately. Orhun then goes on the offensive and turns towards Oliver, asking why the hell did he go to floor 92 directly after hiring a new enchanter for their party. He asks whether Oliver got too cocky and confident just because they have been to that floor multiple times. Orhun continues that he warned multiple times that they are not strong enough as they always barely clear that level, and that's why he wanted to grind some more before moving on to the higher floor. He claims that there were also moments when they almost lost one of their teammates, which should have taught anyone with a brain that their luck will run out one day or the other. Oliver simply looks smug and answers that they were weak because him, which is why they barely cleared the room. That's why they hired a new enchanter. He claims with an enchanter with better skills, he assumed that they can go deeper. Orhun claims that he is not even mad at being fired at this point. What pisses him off is the fact that Oliver doesn't give the enchanters the respect that they truly deserve. Oliver claims that being an enchanter is super easy as they have to sit behind safely and simply make sure that the buffs don't run out on their teammates. Angrily, Orhun stands up and tells them all the exact timings when their buffs run out. He claims that each and every person has a different buff timer, and the enchanter has to remember each and every one of them to be able to cast them on time, while also giving out commands and analyzing the battle. While this is all happening, Selma is sitting outside in the garden thinking about everything that happened during the expedition. She would love to have someone like Orhun in her party, but wonders whether Orhun would even want teammates after what has happened to him with his previous party. Moreover that, he and T even need teammates at this point, as he is a one-man army who can deal with everything. She remembers the point when during the fight against the Black Dragon, she tried to give him some buffs, but he told him not to do anything as it will throw him off. This made him think that even if he joined their party, she will only be weighing him down before she could wallow in her thoughts even more. Sophia, Logan, and Carol come running up to her, asking where Orhun is since they want to talk to him about joining the guild. Selma sighs, claiming that she doubts Orhun needs a team since they all will be weighing him down anyways. Logan and the others claim that they already know that, but one day while fighting with him, they will slowly get stronger, and he will finally have to acknowledge them as comrades. Selma didn't think about it from this perspective, and realizes that the kids are right, and she can simply learn from Orhun and get better as well. She tells them that they can find him at the guild house, and they immediately take off running to find him. At the guild house, Orhun finally comes out, while the guildmaster decides on the penalty for the forced participation. While turning into the busy streets, he notices Sophia and the gang running towards him, and he immediately knows what they are after. He quickly ducks into nearby alleyway and keeps running while they follow him, shouting that they just want to talk to him. After managing to somehow escape by jumping on top of his magical blocks, he somehow manages to hide inside the old man's store, who laughs at him, claiming that it looks like he is scared of a bunch of kids. Orhun replies that he doesn't want to make them sad by saying that he doesn't really want to join any parties as of now. The old man claims that he knows Orhun is still looking for a place to belong, But he doesn't have to do it all alone. That night, Orhun walks up a cliff to be by himself and think upon what the old man told him, when he suddenly comes across Sophia, who claims that this is her favorite spot since from here she can see the moon very clearly. She bows down and thanks Orhun for saving their lives the other day, and then asks Orhun to join the night sky silver rabbits with them as she wants to work with him even more. Orhun doesn't answer her, but asks her what kind of a place is the guild to her. She thinks for a while before replying that the guild has given her so many good memories that it's a home to her. This is where she belongs. That hits Orhun, and he immediately makes his decision. The next morning, he goes ahead to meet with the leader of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits and tells the nerd that he would like to accept his offer of joining the guild. Selma was hiding behind something, I guess, as she immediately comes out and congratulates him while giving him the uniform. With that, he goes outside and finds Sophia and the others running towards him out of breath, eager to know whether he truly accepted the position, while Orhun simply smiles, claiming that he is eager to go on more adventures with them. One night after that, he dreams about the time back in childhood when he used to fight with Oliver while the people trying to train them to become heroes watch over them with sharp eyes, noticing every single movement. Oliver seems to be very tense as he goes all out against his best friend, while Orhun still takes it easy but ends up getting disarmed. He smiles and lays down on the floor with a thud, claiming that Oliver is too strong and he can't defeat him. Oliver responds angrily that he knows Orhun is much stronger than this, and he always used to defeat him before. Orhun claims that he isn't that strong anymore, and Oliver has surpassed him long before. Oliver is still not content, but he can't do anything about it, so he looks at Orhun with anger in his eyes, but leaves without saying another word. Orhun stays on the ground when a silver-haired girl named Sion, who was Orhun's friend, rushes up to him and asks whether he is okay. Orhun smiles as he gets up, replying that he is perfectly fine, but claims that it is embarrassing for him that she saw him getting beaten up like this. Sion replies that she thinks that he fought heroically, and he looked very cool while doing it. Moreover, she claims that she already knows what Orhun can do if he reveals his true strength, but Orhun claims that he can't really do that anymore, as his heart is weak and his body can't take it anymore. Sion, however, promises that she will help him deal with it one day. But just like the Epstein files, her words get redacted from his memories, and he can't really remember what exactly she was talking about, how they both were one and the same, and what they promised to achieve together, and where did she disappear. On the other side of the kingdom though, Sion is still alive and is now part of a cult where she is leading a party of 3 people as they cut through a collaboration of 5 strong adventure parties just because they didn't belong to their cultish faction. After every single adventurer was dead, they decided to move forward, but suddenly a guy in white robes appears in front of her and tells her that the cult leaders have just received the news that there is some unknown guy in the Northern Kingdom has defeated the Black Dragon all on his own, and Sion is ordered to go and investigate that person. She has to try and get him in their cult, but if the guy refuses, they are to kill him immediately. Sion thinks about it and realizes that it can't be Oliver, as he is too famous to be called an unknown guy, and wonders who could it be. But it doesn't really matter to her very much, since if he opposes their cult, she will kill him on the spot. With that, Sion and her party starts moving towards the Northern Kingdom, not knowing that the person she is looking to kill is none other than her childhood friend Orhun. The pink-haired brat in her party claims that the Northern Kingdom are still controlled by the church, so they will have to be very cautious about what they do, because if they are discovered, they will most likely be caught and thrown in the dungeons. Sion agrees that they need to keep it down and stay undercover, but at the same time she has a weird sensation about this mission, and hopes that all of this would be over soon, as she doesn't want to go to that part of the kingdom. It turns out that she was in love with Orhun all her childhood, and was misled to believe that the old men of the church made him so stressed that he game-ended himself. The day she got this news, her heart froze over, as she thought about all the promises she made to him about how they will always be together, and how she will always fight side by side him. She cried her heart out that day till her blood went cold with seething anger, and she was never the same again. Ever since that day, she decided that she will see through the destruction of the church and its people who led Orhun to his death. Meanwhile, Orhun is in a meeting with all the senior members of the Night Silver Rabbits, where the nerd four-eyed leader introduces Orhun to everyone, claiming that he was a key reason why their expedition was a success, and moreover, he is the only reason all those rookies and even the guides who accompanied them survived, as he took the Black Dragon down all on his own. The nerd tells the others that he believes in Orhun's abilities and is raising him to the rank of the lieutenant to fill the position of their beloved hero Albert, who died the last year fighting the same dragon. He claims that if anyone has any issues with that, they may speak now, so an old man speaks up, claiming that he has no problem with Orhun becoming one of the leaders of the groups, but asks whether Orhun knows what that means and whether he believes that he has the ability to make the right decisions, as once he becomes a lieutenant, he would not only be responsible for his own life, but also the lives of the people working with him. He claims that a lot of lives are attached to this clan, so any decision he makes will affect all the clan itself. And to many of the clan members, the only thing they have in their life is the clan itself. So it's their duty to always think about the benefit of the clan, even if they themselves have to face adversities in the process. Orhun remembers the promise he made to Sion, and a bunch of painful memories rush back into his head, which makes him realize that he can't make the clan his whole life. He answers honestly and tells the old idiot that he has a life unlike many of them, which is why he can't devote everything to the clan. Every single member in the meeting is shocked, and even Selma could have never expected this. The old man erupts, asking whether he knows that the statement he just made makes him ineligible to even be a clan member, let alone be a lieutenant. He asks what the hell is he even doing here, and Orhun replies that he is here because he knows that he will protect anyone and everyone that he cares about. Selma realizes that Orhun doesn't really care about the clan itself, but wants to protect the members inside of it. The old man is still confused, so Orhun spells it out for him, claiming that he will do anything he can to protect his comrades, but that is all he can promise. Nothing more, nothing less. The old man finally backs down, and the nerd takes a vote for the people who have no issues in Orhun becoming one of the lieutenants. It's a landslide victory for Orhun, as he now becomes one of the famed lieutenants of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits. Selma takes him through the corridor to introduce him to the first unit, which he will be a part of, but before they could reach there, a girl calls Selma out from behind, claiming that she wants to talk to the new lieutenant. Selma smiles and introduces the girl as Stella, who is in the management division. Stella asks Orhun whether he is good at teaching other people, and claims that there is a new party she would like him to help. Selma claims that she thinks it's a good idea, but Orhun asks whether that will not be a problem with the Unit 1. But Selma tells him not to worry, as he will have a lot more free time than he did when he was in the heroes party. Stella claims that she will send him the materials introducing this party and rushes off with that. Selma leads him to one of the rooms where he finally meets with the first unit. They all sit down around a table, and the blue-haired girl introduces herself first as Rain, who is the mage of the party. Orhun notices that even though she is the oldest in the party, she doesn't really have anything to show for it. Rain gets insecure about herself, but the blondie takes over, claiming that her name is Otis, and she is a healer. The final member is the tall silver-haired guy who probably bags all bitches named Will, who is the defender of the group and likes to act like a defensive tank. Finally, Orhun turns his attention towards Selma, who once again formally introduces herself as the enchanter and the leader of the party. Orhun realizes that from now on these are going to be his comrade in arms, who will be ready to fight for him and die for him if necessary. For formality's sake, he also stands up and introduces himself as Orhun, who is the frontline attacker of this party now. Will smiles, claiming that ever since they lost Albert, he had been filling in for that role, but he is not good at that role. Selma tells him not to act so formal and just chill out, but before he could even sit down, Will asks him how did he kill the Black Dragon. Selma notices that Orhun wasn't completely comfortable, so she tells him that he doesn't have to answer it if he doesn't want to. But Orhun claims that he should share the information with his party members so that they can be on the same page. Orhun begins the explanation and claims that the main reason he was able to deal with the dragon all on his own is because of 2 original spells that he created. Rain is shocked to know that Orhun has created original spells, but he continues that his first original spell is called Impact, which can raise the effect of any equipment or magic by 100 times, and the second spell is something which can be cast multiple times to boost the effect of support magic and basically any buffs. He reveals that during the fight with the dragon he multiplied his own buffs by 32 times, which shocks both Rain and Otis, who claim that this spell would give him a huge advantage over basically anyone he can come across. He claims that he can only use that spell on himself though, and the stress on the user is so high that he can't sustain it for very long. He remembers how even the fight with the Black Dragon went on for a little too long, and by the end he was in a really bad shape. Otis asks that if he is that strong, then it must mean that he can basically fall into any roles. But Orhun reveals that he can only use mid-ranked magic, no matter how much he tries. This surprises them all, and Selma asks how is that possible since he clearly knows enough about magic to literally create his own spells. Orhun looks down, claiming that even he doesn't know why exactly can he not use advanced magic. But regardless, his original spells cover that flaw of his, which makes him not be utterly useless. Selma claims that she intends them all to go down to the dungeon very soon so they can practice working as a team and get into a groove, But Orhun claims that before doing that he needs to get a sword. Rain is surprised that he hasn't ordered a new sword yet, and claims that it would take many days for a new sword to be made. But Orhun claims that he just uses an off-the-shelf sword so he can just pop in a store and buy one. They all are shocked at this, as literal newbie adventurers use weapons like those, and they can't believe that the Dragon Slayer uses one of them instead of a custom piece. They drag him to the blacksmith who makes all the weapons for their clan. But the blacksmith claims that for a person of Orhun's caliber, they should get an item from the deepest layers of dungeons. But Orhun tells him not to worry and produces a bunch of artifacts he got from the deep dungeons, including the scale of the black dragon. Immediately, the entire party freezes up, and Orhun realizes that he made a mistake as he opened up an old wound. He should have remembered that they were defeated by this very dragon and lost a very dear party members in the process. He tries to apologize, but Rain recovers from her PTSD and tells Orhun that the black dragon scale would make a sword worthy to be wielded by the Dragon Slayer himself. A couple days pass by and Selma arranges a team meeting one morning to talk about a quest that they have been given. Everyone sits down on their seats, but it still feels odd to Orhun, as he is once again in a party with whom he is soon going to go dungeon diving again. It had been so long since he decided to go solo that he forgot this feeling altogether. Selma starts the meeting as she reveals that the Adventure Management Division has given them the task to collect noxious sheep pelt, and they will be heading towards the 86th floor to practice their teamwork as well. Orhun swears to himself that he will make sure that this party goes beyond the 94th level, so that they can proudly call themselves equal to the hero's party. A little while later, they finally enter the 86th floor, which is a part of the lower dungeons, but the beautiful scenery makes everything look so pretty that the adventurers feel more relaxed, and that's why this level is so dangerous, and they can't let their guards down. Selma tells them not to get distracted by the scenery, as there are a lot of earth dragons at this level and they can be a menace to deal with. And anyways, their primary goal here is to practice their teamwork with Orhun. Selma lays down the basic roles, claiming that Will's job will be to grab the monster's attention for as long as possible, while Rain will attack from the rear with her explosive magic. Otis will join the attack, making sure that all her healing magic is ready to go at a moment's notice. Selma herself will make sure that everyone is buffed at all times, and she is the one who is going to be giving all the orders, while Orhun is going to be their ace and the attacker who will be taking the front lines and dealing most of the damage to the monsters. Otis turns towards Orhun and claims that he is probably strong enough to deal with all the monsters on his own, and even Will agrees with that, wondering whether they would only be coming in his way. Selma turns towards Orhun, claiming that if he thinks that he will be better off attacking alone, then she has no issues with that either. But Orhun immediately replies that he is a part of this team and will be following all her orders. Moreover, their main goal today is to learn how to properly function as a team. For that, they will need to work as a team and synergize with each other. Selma realizes that Orhun is right, and that she has made a very dumb suggestion. But before she could clear her mind, a giant fireball is shot in their direction. Selma was completely spaced out at that moment and doesn't even move. But Orhun is too quick on his feet and immediately dodges out of the way before using his defensive wall to save all his teammates at the same time. He immediately realizes that this is the work of an earth dragon, but there is none in sight, which means that they will have to find it first. Otis comes forward and tells Orhun not to worry, as she will deal with it, as she has a special ability called magic tracking. This helps her triangulate the exact location of her enemies just based on the magical aura remaining in the area that was attacked. She starts scanning the area and quickly finds the foe hiding behind a bunch of bushes. She uses one of her flare gun type abilities, which lures the monster out, while Will gets ready to do his own part. The monster starts running towards them, and Will runs at it as well, while Selma smiles and claims that it is good that Orhun can see the power of their team. Will rushes towards the beast while Rain charges her magic attack. The monster fires another fireball at Will, but this time he is ready and slashes the fireball in two without any issues. The monster shoots more fire blasts at Will, but they are of no use since Will simply cuts them in two or dodges away, escaping without any harm. After baiting the monster into the right position, Will backs off, while Rain uses one of her trap cards and nukes the monster with her explosion magic. Even Orhun is surprised, since they worked perfectly together and made short work of the dragon. Orhun looks at Will and his giant lance, realizing that he wasn't just deflecting the attacks, he was actually nullifying them as well, completely canceling the magic inside. Moreover, Rain used a special grade magical skill like the nuke with such ease and quickness that the monster didn't even have any time to react. Any caster would have taken twice as long to cast the same attack. Otis was amazing as well. With her ability to track down the enemies, there is no real chance that they can be jumped by the ops anytime soon. And Selma is the one binding all of them together, forming one of the best and the most well-synergized parties that he has ever seen. Orhun tells Selma to her face that he is impressed by everyone in their unit, which makes her blush, but before she could respond, a loud roar grabs their attention, and they turn around to see two more earth dragons have risen up from their slumber and are eager to fight. Selma claims that this is perfect as now they can properly practice their teamwork. Both Will and Orhun get ready for the attack and rush at the dragons at top speed, but Orhun stops in the middle and turns around, sensing that something is wrong, and uses his rock arrow magic spell to shoot in what seemed like an empty field. It turns out that his intuition was correct as magical turtle monster was hiding nearby and slowly making their way towards Selma and the girls to ambush them from behind. Orhun's intervention saves them from a disaster, but things are not better off either ways since they are now trapped between the two earth dragons and the armored turtle monster. Selma immediately takes command, claiming that the turtle monster has an incredibly strong shell, but is very slow, which makes it a prime target for spellcasters. She tells Rain and Otis to deal with the turtle, while Will and Orhun are supposed to deal with the earth dragons without worrying about the turtle ever attacking them. Orhun seems to be enjoying this very much, as Selma's directions and decisions have been crisp and precise, making her someone who they can trust and follow. The dragons start running towards Orhun, shooting their fireballs at him, but Will is standing in between, acting like an impenetrable wall as he cuts through the fireballs and distracts them, while Orhun decides to flank them from the side to get a better angle. Orhun realizes that this party is working exactly how he wanted the hero's party to work, but they were all too lazy to follow any of the orders. He gets into position and uses his own magical buffs to empower his sharpness and strength and waits for the orders. Selma tells him to wait for 5 seconds so that the dragons can get out of position and then attack simultaneously with Will. Orhun waits for the correct moment as Will baits an attack out of the rock dragons and then jumps back, while Orhun uses his air cutter attack to slice the dragons in half, killing them immediately. Meanwhile, the girls together manage to hit the turtle with a lightning attack, followed by a fire blast, and then an ice field which completely destroys the turtle, giving the party another victory. After that perfectly executed fight, they start walking through the fields and Orhun claims that it has been a really long while since a fight was this easy for him, as he usually has to do so much more work each time they fight. Selma stops and asks Orhun seriously whether in his opinion he thinks that they all are ready as a team to face the floor number 92. Orhun replies that he thinks that they are more than ready for that floor, and claims that he thinks that they all can defeat the Black Dragon without him as well, if they keep their nerves about them. Selma, however, has seen the Black Dragon firsthand in combat very recently during the teaching expedition and knows that the dragon is incredibly strong, and she doesn't want to lose anyone else in the fight. By the time the sun starts setting, they are done with their mission and manage to collect the pelts from 9 noxious sheeps, which is more than enough to call the mission a complete success. Orhun then asks Selma whether she can tell him where he can find the Adventure Management Office, as he was called by them, and Selma tells him not to worry as she will accompany him since she has to report the mission's success as well. Orhun thanks her, and that evening, they all go to celebrate at a pub, eating amazing food and talking about the day. A couple drinks later, Selma gets drunk and starts making advances towards Orhun, who realizes that he won't be able to hold himself back if she keeps doing this. Before he could do anything though, Rain also appears next to him and starts hugging his arm and being very close to him. Will watches with interest, cheering for Orhun, claiming that he is a total player, but Orhun can't deal with it anymore, and as soon as post-nut clarity hits, he uses his sleep magic to send both the girls into a deep sleep. A little while later, while Sophia was chilling in her room waiting for her sister to arrive, she hears a knock at the door. She expected her sister, but here's Orhun asking her to open the door. At first she was scared to open the door, thinking that she is not dressed appropriately, but Orhun claims that he is with Selma and needs her to let him in. Sophia decides to open the door, but notices that Selma is literally on Orhun's back, which looks even worse than a usual walk of shame that she is used to see. Sophia realizes that her sister is meant for the street and asks her to get off Orhun's back this very instant. She also realizes that both of them must have had a lot of fun since Orhun was smiling when he came. She starts feeling left out and conflicted since she clearly has feelings for Orhun, and later tells Selma that she was probably making Orhun uncomfortable. Selma apologizes and heads off to the bathroom to take a hot shower, during which she thinks about the way Sophia looks at Orhun, and knows for a fact that Orhun is her first love, and she shouldn't do anything to make it weird. But at the same time, she thinks about everything she said to Orhun and realizes that she even called him handsome. She starts going into a deep spiral as she questions her own feelings about Orhun, wondering whether she only likes him as a person and looks up to him as an adventurer, or are there any deeper feelings involved, which can sabotage her relationship with her sister as they move forward. The next morning, Selma accompanies Orhun to the management reception, where they find Stella waiting for them. Her desk seems messier than my love life, but just like me, she doesn't seem to care much about it, and carries on with her day. She introduces Orhun with Carla, the super hot woman who is the caretaker of the new adventurers that join their clan. Carla greets Orhun warmly and claims that he is going to be taking care of group number 10 and will take over their training from now on. She then asks him whether she has gone over their files, and Orhun replies that he knows them already, but has thoroughly checked the files, and only then did he come to the decision to personally train them. Carla looks relieved and thanks him for taking over the lot, while even Stella claims that only Orhun can deal with them at this point. Orhun smiles and then asks what's the policy on training here, and how hard can he go on them. Stella replies that there is no policy on how to train anyone, so he can do whatever he feels like without any second thoughts. She tells him to simply teach them whatever he knows from his own experience and train them enough that they can go alone in the outside world and won't get hurt very easily. Orhun is still a little confused, and Selma understands him better, claiming that it would probably be better if Orhun had a goal that he could work towards instead of having nothing to aim for. Stella thinks for a bit and then replies that Orhun should train them in such a way that the trainees are able to take on the middle level floor by themselves by the next 6 months. Orhun claims that those are some high expectations from the newbies, but Stella replies that they are supposed to be both the troublemakers, but also the most talented of the lot, so expect a lot from them in the coming years. Moreover, they already showed a lot of growth after the training expedition that they went on. Orhun agrees and claims that he would try his best, and with that both Selma and him leave the room to get back to their work. In the corridor, Selma stops suddenly and claims that if Orhun has read all the files, then he probably knows everything about Sophia and herself. Orhun looks down a little uneasy before nodding. A hint of sadness emerges in Selma's eye as she claims that Sophia was the daughter of the maid who was also a mistress to her father, and everything would have been fine, but Sophia's mother died after a couple of years of giving birth to her. Selma's family obviously took her in, but since she was a bastard child of a lowborn mistress, she never had a true place in her family and was always treated like an outsider. This got even more difficult for her when Selma left the home to become an adventurer, and when she returned for the first time, she saw Sophia's empty eyes and sad expressions, which were the cause of two adults making dumb decisions while the child has to bear the consequences. Selma couldn't see that and took Sophia with her the next time she left the house. And ever since that day, Sophia was always treated like a true sister of Selma. She looks at Orhun and claims that Sophia is the only thing she loves in this world and claims that she wants to see her as a successful adventurer no matter what. Orhun promises to take care of her and finally bids Selma goodbye before entering the training room, where he finds all 3 of his pupils in the group 10 waiting eagerly for him. They immediately swarm around him with greetings, but Orhun manages to calm them down and then sits down in front of them, claiming that he has been given the task to train them from now on. All 3 of them seem very happy. Carol claims that he is super strong and can do anything, to which Orhun replies that he still has a lot to learn, but Sophia cuts him off, claiming that Carol is right as he literally defeated the Black Dragon easily on his own. Orhun smiles and thinks about the encounter and how close he was to losing the fight against that monster, but decides to push those thoughts away and simply thanks them, before claiming that someday they themselves will have to deal with the Black Dragon, so they must train their hearts out before that day comes. He gives them a pep talk, claiming that each one of them has a lot of potential waiting to come out, and he believes that one day they can all clear all the dungeons themselves. This gets the kids pumped as they thank him for taking them on as students. Orhun smiles and starts by telling them that there are some things he wants them to keep in mind at all times. The first is that they must keep their minds open at all times, and be flexible so that even if things don't go according to the plan, they can find a way to deal with the issue. The second thing he tells them is to think for themselves, as not everything he is going to tell them would be perfect, as he himself doesn't know a lot of the things. He claims that he has messed up a lot of things himself, and just because he is their teacher doesn't mean that he is automatically right. With that out of the way, he asks them for the reasons why they decided to become an adventurer. He starts with Sophia, who looks a little embarrassed at first, but then replies that she wants to be like her older sister Selma and become a great adventurer who can take her own decisions without having a fear of anyone. Orhun promises to help her find her dream one day, and then turns towards Logan, asking about his goals. Logan honestly replies that he is doing all this for money. The other girls are shocked, but Orhun tells him to continue, and he reveals that he comes from a village which is very poor and getting food on a daily basis is a chore in itself, where people are forced to fight each day for their own survival. He claims that even though the village is poor, they pooled in all their money and then sent him to the city so that his talents don't go to waste. He claims that is the reason why he wants to become an adventurer, so he can pay them all back one day. He reveals that he was thinking that he is a pretty strong adventurer already, but when he saw the black dragon and the true strength of a top-tier adventurer, that's when he realized that he still has a long way to go before he can become a strong adventurer. Orhun promises to teach him everything he can, but tells him that he will have to put in all his effort as well to make sure he can pay back the generosity of his village tenfolds back. With that, he turns towards Carol and asks about her motivation, but she simply responds that she doesn't really have any motivations, and she just fights because she can kill the monsters, and that makes people happy, and she likes seeing a smile on everyone's faces. Orhun realizes that her darkness runs really deep as she tries not to show any emotions, but the grief and anger inside of her cannot be hidden, as she tries to mask it with a smile, claiming that people stop smiling when monsters are around, so she kills them. Orhun decides not to push her and moves on from the topic, claiming that he wants them to keep in mind why they have decided to become adventurers while they are training. Sophia asks Orhun why he became an adventurer, and Orhun thinks about everything he dealt with as a child, and replies that he wants to become as strong as he can be so that the things that he cares about can never be taken away from him, no matter what. He promises that he is not going to treat them as children and asks them to give him their all. The very next morning, they start their training by entering the lower level dungeons where they soon come across a pack of wolf monsters. Sophie rushes in as usual and kills 2 of them at once with her knives before moving towards the next batch and killing them one by one. Orhun thinks about how Carol is bad news, since she is a defender whose job is to take all the attention away from the attacker and focus on defense. But she always jumps in head-on and tries to kill all the monsters she can as if she is an attacker herself. Just as he thought, she fights with reckless abandon and leaves herself open from an attack from behind. But Orhun was ready for it, and casts a shield wall to stop the wolf before jumping in and slicing its head clean off. He turns towards Carol asking why the hell did she leave herself completely defenseless from behind. But Carol simply smiles, claiming that it doesn't really matter to her. This confuses Orhun, but Carol simply brings the knife up and slices her own wrist. This shocks Orhun as blood starts pouring out of the wound. He rushes to stop the bleeding, but to his surprise, the wound closes itself up and the bleeding stops. Orhun has never seen anything like this before, while Carol claims that she can't be killed as her body regenerates immediately and she is completely used to pain, and that's why she doesn't focus on defense much. Orhun thinks about her history, about how she was captured by an evil church organization who dragged her out of her home and because of her regenerative abilities, performed all kinds of experiments on her. The church only has one goal, which is the resurrection of the evil overlord, and it has become the largest crime syndicate in the continent right now. Carol was saved 2 years ago, but the first unit of the Night Sky Silver Rabbits, which included Albert. She was very unstable back then, but slowly she became better and chose to become an adventurer out of her own volition. Albert's death, however, really struck her, but she never showed any feelings back then. Orhun tries to reach out to her and tells her that whenever she gets hurt, him and the entire team feel bad about it, and their smiles disappear. This completely sends her swirling as she drops the daggers and starts crying, promising never to do anything like that again. Orhun tries to reach out with his hand, but she jerks back while begging him not to hit him. This hits Orhun very deep as he realizes how much trauma this girl has gone through and immediately gives her a tight hug, which confuses her. He promises that no one is ever going to hurt her ever again till he is alive, and tells her not to worry about anything. The next morning, the real training starts as Orhun teaches Carol how to dodge the attacks instead of letting them hit her, while Logan takes on a spear to become a more versatile member of the group. Sophie is given the task to count back wards from 500 while hitting all the targets with 3 different spells. The same training circuit is repeated for the next few days, but now Will is the one training Logan as he is better at the spear than Orhun. While he focuses on Carol and Sophia, who are getting better and better with each passing day. Orhun finally feels content with their basic training and announces that they have all passed the basic training and are ready to move up to the next level, which is going to be harder than before, but he has high hopes from them. The kids celebrate while Rain enters the training room and tells Orhun that they need to head out to meet with the blacksmith as his sword is ready. Excitedly, Orhun heads to the blacksmith, who hands him his sleek sword. The moment he takes the sword in his arm, it feels like it was perfectly molded for him. The perfect angle, the perfect weight, and the perfect feel. He promises to himself that with the help of this sword, he will make sure that none of his comrades are ever hurt again. Not knowing what's around the corner waiting for him, he is overjoyed with his new sword, which feels lighter than ever but also looks wicked sharp. Rain comments about how in the entire kingdom only he has this sword and no one else. Orhun promises himself that he will always protect those near him, no matter the situation. The very next morning, Orhun and his party goes on into the dungeon and manage to descend down till floor number 91. He encounters the undead king there, but the monster is nothing in front of Orhun and his new sword, as he easily manages to chop the monster down in half with a single strike of his sword. He looks at his sword in awe, realizing that this weapon is really something else. His thoughts are broken by the rest of his party, who congratulate him for single-handedly taking down the monster, which means that they have cleared the 91st floor and can move on to the next one. Selma asks him how he feels about the new sword, and Orhun replies that the sword feels like a part of his hand and is incredibly comfortable. Will claims that the Night Sky Silver Rabbits have some of the best blacksmiths working for them, and Orhun has to agree since he has never seen craftsmanship like this before. Selma, however, reminds them that the materials and their quality also matter a lot. But since Orhun used the Black Dragon scales as the core, of course his sword is going to be one of the rarest and the best in the entire realm. After glazing Orhun some more, Selma tells them all that they should return back to the guild, as after finishing the 91st floor, the next goal is the 92nd floor, the one where Albert lost his life to the Black Dragon, and promises that this time they will kill the dragon no matter what. By the time they come out of the dungeon, the sun was already about to set, and in the evening haze, while Otis was talking about how she wants to have something to eat and take a long bath, Selma calls Orhun aside, asking whether she can have a word in private. At first, Orhun wonders whether something went wrong, but then Selma claims that it's nothing like that, and she just wanted to discuss the plans to tackle the next floor tomorrow. Orhun apologizes though, claiming that he will first be going to take Sophia and the party for a dungeon diving expedition in the morning, as he already promised them that he would. Selma is a bit surprised, asking whether he should rest since they are also supposed to go to the next floor in a couple of days, but Orhun tells her not to worry, as he is only going as an instructor, and all the fighting would be done by the newbies. He claims that they are getting really good, and he believes that they should be able to clear the 29th floor all by themselves tomorrow. But he is going to be present just in case. Selma thinks about how quickly time is passing, since not long ago, Sophia was nothing but a brand new recruit who didn't know how to control her magic very well, and knows she is going to reach floor number 30 very soon, after which they would be considered as full-fledged adventurers, and will go on their own expeditions without any supervision. That night, he goes on to meet with the old man at the shop, and gets some tea there. The old man seems a little troubled, and reveals that he has heard some disturbing rumors recently, revealing that according to the talk in the town, the criminal organization Aramthrop is back, and are continuing their title as the Adventurer Killers. He claims that these rumors are coming from another dungeon at the southern side of the country, but it's not good. Orhun understands the gravity of situation very well, as there are two major criminal organizations in this world, one being Armanthrop, and the other one being the church. According to Armanthrop, no one should try and clear the dungeons, as they are something divine and older than time, which humans shouldn't try to mess with. They are really strong and brutal in their own regards, as they kill adventurers that come across them without any mercy for their lives. Orhun then asks the old man whether these are just rumors, since they didn't get notified by the guilds to be careful or anything. But the old man replies that he would wish they were just rumors, but a couple days ago, some high-rank adventurers were found dead, and that could only be the result of them running into the men from Armanthrop. Orhun thinks about it and realizes that there is a possibility that the guild is not revealing anything yet to avoid any meaningless panic, which can cause even more chaos and will make the situation 10 times worse. He thinks about why do these people even care about the dungeons being cleared, but realizes that trying to understand what a murderer thinks about is completely useless. and all he can do is make sure to avoid these idiots at all cost. The entire team seems to be a little on edge with the thought of returning back to the 92nd floor. Rain stays in her room with moonlight pouring in as she looks at the robe that Albert wore when he died at the hands of the Black Dragon. She tells Albert to look at them from heaven as they are going to take their revenge soon. Will, on the other hand, goes on to the blacksmith to get a new spear that he had custom made, and thanks the man for doing a stellar job as usual, claiming that with this, he will take revenge soon. The blacksmith smiles, claiming that Will has come a long way since last year and has gotten much stronger. This sends Will back into the past as he painfully claims that Albert died because he was not good enough, which got Albert killed. He claims that it should have been him who died, but instead, the hero of the clan gave his life to save the team. Otis is also feeling restless, so she sits around on a fountain, looking at the silvery moon, thinking about everything they have gone through since the last year, and how they have gotten much stronger, but wonders whether that in itself would be enough to deal with this monster, which has taken countless lives till now. She promises herself that this time she isn't going to let anyone die and make sure that they all come out of it alive. Selma is also lost in thought in her own room as she looks out the window, completely zoned out, but Sophia breaks her out of her thoughts, asking whether she is worried about going to meet with the dragon. Sophia claims that in reality she doesn't want Selma to go and fight the Black Dragon, as even the last time when Orhun defeated it, he himself was a complete mess, and no one knows what will happen this time, since it was such a close fight. Selma, however, replies that it's been more than a year since the death of Albert, and she thinks that her party has grown in strength, which should be enough to defeat the Black Dragon and claim revenge, which they so desperately want. Sophia immediately starts motorboating her, and to be honest, I can't blame her. She tells Selma that she believes in her and her party and promises that everything will be alright. The next morning, Orhun takes the young party into the dungeons, and soon enough they manage to clear the 29th floor. Without much issues, Orhun smiles at the little team, claiming that all of them have grown a lot as adventurers, and once they clear the 30th floor, they would no longer be new recruits and graduate on to become full-fledged adventurers. Everyone is happy. But suddenly, Sophia realizes that once they become full adventurers, they will be assigned to some unit, which means that Orhun will no longer be training them anymore. This thought saddens her a bit, but she decides to put that in the back, and returns back to the guild alongside the rest of her party. They all show the report to the receptionist, who claims that they will now have to give a final test, which is going to be clearing the floor number 30 all on their own, while a senior adventurer from the Unit 2 will be observing them to make sure that they are ready to be left by themselves. She claims that the next test could be arranged 2 days from now, but they realize that on that day, Orhun and his party are going to the 92nd floor. They would have wanted Orhun to be with them during the test, and asked the receptionist whether the dates could be rearranged. But the receptionist replies that since every adventurer has their own schedule, their test might not happen for some time. Orhun speaks up, claiming that he will talk to Selma and maybe they can postpone the journey into the 92nd floor for a couple days more. But Sophia stops him, claiming that they have been waiting for this day to come for over a year, and it would be really cruel to postpone it now. The kids promise that they would deal with the dungeon on their own, and even Carol promises that she will make sure that she is not being too risky with her antics, with all three of them telling Orhun to let them clear the level alone. He has no choice but to agree. Before that, however, Orhun checks their floor plan to see whether they are thinking in the right manner, and after analyzing the document thoroughly, he tells them that their plan seems solid, but tells them to keep their brains open, as things might not always go according to the plan. He then gives them each a pendant as a good luck charm, and wishes them the best. Days pass by soon, and both the parties use their time in their own manners, when finally the day of judgment comes as Orhun gets ready to tackle the Black Dragon again, while Sophia and the others get ready to clear level 30. Sophia and the others get to their floor, and Logan soon senses enemies around them, which turns out to be true, as a group of 4 goblins emerge and get ready for a fight. Carol decides to distract them, which comes in handy, as Logan uses an earth spike spell to completely destroy 3 of them, while Sophia uses an arrow cutter spell to chop up the last one, surprising the adventurer, who asks if they truly are new recruits. Orhun and the others also reach their destination and enter the chamber to fight with the dragon, who immediately wakes up. Selma quickly buffs up all her teammates, while Orhun uses her own original spell to multiply his stats by 4 times. As the fight begins, Will manages to pierce through the dragon's tail while Orhun cuts it off in half. The others continue using support magic to help them. Meanwhile, Sophia and the others manage to reach the boss room, but at the entrance they find a group of 4 adventurers as well. They turn out to be from the church, and one of them uses his abilities to read Logan's mind. realizing that these newbies are friends with the Dragon Slayer. Their supervisor immediately senses that something is wrong and comes in between with a sword, but with a flick, his head is taken off in an instant, horrifying the new recruits. The muscled idiot uses his earth magic to block off the exits, so Carol decides to buy them time and rushes at the muscled idiot, only to get smashed back into a wall. Orhun immediately gets notified as the necklaces he gave them were a kind of alarming device. He immediately tells Selma that the new recruits are in danger, but they can't leave this floor without dealing with the dragon. The dragon uses this time to recover and grows back its tail and one of the wings that Orhun took out, basically wasting all their efforts. Orhun remembers how he promised to keep his comrades safe, and with his back against the wall wonders how will he ever make sure that Sophia and the others are alive. Meanwhile, in the other location, the muscle-headed walks towards Sophia and others, but she is so worried about Carol that she cannot pay attention to the situation in front of them. Logan tells her to snap back to reality and try to win this fight, because Carol will heal up and be fine in no time. He reminds Sophia that their teacher would never give up on a fight, no matter how bad things looked, so they should fight too. He says that Orhun always says that an adventurer's first priority is to return home safe, and they are going to fight for that. His little pep talk gets Sophia fired up too, and then Logan uses buffs on themselves. Sophia shoots a thunderbolt as the muzzle brain, but he simply blocks the attack and then cancels it with his sword. Sophia panics on seeing this, and Logan tells her to run away. The muscled idiot chases after them, but the moment Logan sees an opening, he uses earth magic to trap him just like he had learned from Orhun. He tells the muscled idiot that his moves are really simple to predict, and he should have spent more time polishing his brain than at the gym. He rushes ahead to finish him off, but the muscle man grabs his weapon, and then uses his brute force to shatter the rocks. He then smashes Logan to the ground, telling him not to get so overconfident when he is just beginning. He picks up his sword, telling him that he should have just tried to run away instead of fighting back, and Sophia panics, wondering if they are going to die now. Logan reminds the musclehead that he was going to use them as bait, but the captain says that they just need one bait. That is basically the go-ahead signal for the musclehead, and he swings his heavy sword down at Logan. At this point, Sophia freaks out so much that she drops her weapon and screams, but then the musclehead's body freezes. He can't move and wonders what is happening, and it is actually Sophia who has awakened her connection with the Force. She realizes that this is her special ability, and she was a Jedi the whole time. She simply smashes the muscled idiot into the wall and then rushes to heal Logan. However, the impact is not enough to keep him down, and the muscled idiot gets back to fight. But this time, Logan and Sophia decide to hit him with everything they have got to survive this battle. Back at Orhun's location, the enraged dragon creates blades with its magic power and aims it at the humans. Orhun realizes that he has no choice but to use his incomplete magic spell, as it is the only thing powerful enough to take down the dragon. He activates the spell stored inside his bracelet, coating his sword in pure darkness. He then charges ahead, dodging the attacks of the dragon before striking its leg with his full strength. A bright flash of light stuns everyone as the dragon falls to the ground, and Selma realizes that Orhun was holding such a powerful weapon this entire time. However, even that is not enough to keep the dragon, because its healing factor allows it to regenerate the lost leg in an instant. Everyone panics on seeing this, and Orhun tells them that the only way to win this fight is to kill the dragon in a single strike so that he can't regenerate. Just then, the dragon attacks them with their tail, and Selma uses a barrier to protect everyone. The barrier lasts only for 3 attacks from the dragon before shattering, and Selma is slammed against the wall. Luckily, Orhun used that time to place himself on a high spot behind the dragon, and he pours all his magic into his sword to transform it into a spear to finish the fight. He jumps at the dragon, who notices him and turns around, but Orhun doesn't care about that. He stabs the dragon's forehead with all his strength, declaring that he won't let his friends' hopes be destroyed. The energy of his attack travels through the dragon's body, splintering and fracturing it all over. The energy then overloads the dragon's body and causes it to explode, finishing it off for good. Selma is glad to see that Orhun slayed the dragon, and as she relaxes, she loses her consciousness. Meanwhile, Logan and Sophia are still struggling against the muscled idiot, who slams Logan to the ground and then turns his attention to Sophia. She realizes that she can't use the Force to attack him again, and the leader of the adventurers tells Musclehead to finish the girl before she becomes a threat to them in the future. Sophia is completely helpless now, and she wishes for Orhun to save her somehow. Musclehead swings his sword at her when suddenly, 2 aerial slashes hit him and send him crashing violently into the walls behind him. Everyone is shocked by this unexpected attack, and Sophia turns around to see that her prayers were answered and Orhun has arrived to save her. Sophia starts crying as soon as she sees him, and Orhun rushes to hug her, apologizing for being late and praising her for surviving this long. He then uses teleportation magic to bring Logan and Carol to himself and tells them that everything is fine now because he will handle the rest. He casts a barrier around his students, telling them that the fight won't take long. Sophia asks if he is angry and Orhun affirms, thinking that he is mad at himself for not being there to protect his students when they were in danger. He asks the adventurers why did they hurt Sophia and others, and the priestess from the party replies that they wanted to use them as bait to lure out the Dragon Slayer, and he is here now. Orhun is furious at them and draws his sword, but the adventurers are also ready to fight him. They tell him that they are specialists in fighting humans, and he is facing 3 of them at once on top of that. That doesn't bother Orhun, and he gets ready to begin the fight. As soon as he stretches his hand forward, the priestess realizes what he is going to do and jumps away, but her teammates are not as smart as her and get caught in Orhun's gravity spell. Their bodies become too heavy to even stand up, and Orhun follows it up with a thunder attack that completely fries their brain. He then attacks the priestess, who is the only one remaining now, and she easily blocks his sword. She remarks that she never thought he would defeat her teammates so easily, and Orhun tells her to worry more about herself. Suddenly, she pushes him away with Blizzard, which is a special grade magic attack. And Orhun wonders how can this bitch parry his attack with her tiny body and then cast such a powerful spell so quickly. Suddenly, the priestess casts another spell that rains thunder and Orhun somehow blocks it, which makes his students worry for him. Orhun wonders how can the priestess cast multiple special rank spells so quickly as if she is skipping all the steps in casting them. The priestess is impressed that he survived her attack and says that they were hoping that someone as strong as him joins their team. Orhun replies that he is not going to help murderers, and the priestess remarks that she reminds him of someone who died when she was little, but if he was alive, he would turn out just like him. Orhun doesn't want to hear her yapping and asks her why is she killing adventurers. She replies that she doesn't want to, but the original was defeated and the replica is in the hands of their enemies now, so her only choice is to buy time. None of that made sense to Orhun, and he tells the priestess that if she is killing adventurers to buy time, she should give up. This drives the bitch mad, and she starts yelling at Orhun like a total Karen. She tells him to shut up because idiots like him are drawing the world closer to destruction. This statement stuns Orhun speechless, but then the nun decides to end the fight. She launches an exploding fireball at him, and Orhun dodges that, only to find that she can cast multiple of them at once. He can only run away, but the priestess manages to hit him after a few attempts. She is sure that Orhun couldn't have survived so many explosions and apologizes to him, saying that his sacrifice is necessary to save the world. To her shock, Orhun is still alive because he transformed his sword into a shield. Orhun uses this chance to turn his sword into a whip to tie the priestess and tells her that he was waiting for her to believe that she had won because that would be when she let her guard down. The priestess tries to brute force her way out of the situation, but Orhun pulls her tighter. Suddenly, her hood comes off, and seeing her silver hair reminds Orhun of his childhood friend. The girl also recognizes his magic now, and both of them are confused. The girl suddenly starts laughing, saying that it must be the work of the old man and the awful woman who keep on toying with her. This leaves Orhun even more confused, and the girl tells him that there is no need to fight now. She sweetly asks him to let her go, and she will take her teammates with her, but Orhun doesn't believe her. Unfortunately, his magic runs out just then, letting the priestess free. Just then, the rest of the adventurers also get up and Orhun panics, thinking that he is at a disadvantage now. Luckily, his friends come there to back him up just then. However, the priestess is no longer in the mood to fight, and she promises Orhun that she will leave him and his friends alone. He is glad to hear that because he didn't want a fight that would seriously injure his friends. The priestess says that she hopes the next time they meet they are not enemies, and then vanishes along with her friends. Orhun is still clueless, but luckily, his students are safe, and that is all that matters for now. Everyone thanks him for saving them, and then Logan asks if he knew the girl who attacked them. Orhun hangs his head as he says that he doesn't know her, and at the same time, the priestess is in her safe place, delighted that Orhun is alive. She doesn't like the fact that he is an adventurer, which means they are enemies, and she blames the woman who manipulated her all her life for this. She was told that Orhun died, but now that she knows the truth, she is determined to punish the woman and get back the time she lost and could have instead spent with her childhood friend. Meanwhile, Oliver is also training to become stronger after hearing that Orhun killed the black dragon by himself. He wonders how Orhun can do something that he can't when Philly comes there to make small talk with him. She asks if he is training to defeat the black dragon or to compete with Orhun, and he replies that he is training because he is ashamed of his own weakness. Philly says that no one has soloed the black dragon before and everyone is calling Orhun the new hero. Oliver is not even jealous at this point, but then Philly tells him that a combat tournament is going to take place soon. This fires Oliver up, and he swears that he will defeat Orhun himself and prove that he is the true hero. A few days later, Orhun gathers his students again, telling them that their last exam didn't go well because of unforeseen enemies. He claims to be disappointed by the events of that day because he was not strong enough to come to their aid in time, but they don't agree with him. They tell Orhun that they are alive only because of him, and if he wasn't there, they would have all died. Orhun tells them that it was plot armor that saved them that day because if the fight continued, everyone would have died or gotten seriously injured, including his team. He says that he used to consider himself strong, but after fighting the priestess, he realized that he is just a big fish in a small pond. He tells his students that they have all faced defeat the last time, but the good news is that they are alive and can start over to become stronger. His students agree, and with that, Orhun leads them into the dungeon to train them. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.